Hey, welcome everybody. Alright, so we're finally here and there's finally patch notes. So we're gonna spend probably most of the stream going through those. I did look ahead a little bit. It looks like Corpse Wade got hit pretty hard. We'll see how much that hurts. But first things first. Start fresh with a new economy and Dawn of the Hunt League. All of your old characters from early access are still present, but a free passive tree refund has been granted due to the changes. We would highly encourage you to join the new league to fully take in the changes we've made in that 0.2 update. There's standard, hardcore, and solo self-found variations of the Dawn of the Hunt League, and we have the same. They have the same core mechanics and items. Alright, added a new playable character class, the Huntress. Added a new Amazon and Ritualist Ascendancy classes for the Huntress. Added Smith of Katava class for the Warrior. Added Tactician Ascendancy for the Mercenary. Added Lich Ascendancy for the Witch. Added 25 new skills, primarily spear skills. Added 100 supports. Added 2 new item classes, the Spears and the Bucklers. Added over 100 new unique items, added 8 new endgame maps, 4 unique strongboxes, 12 rogue exiles, introduced as Marian Wisps, which can be found in the endgame, 15 new socketable items, with new modifiers that you can craft onto your items. Introduced Twilight Reliquary keys. Essences can now have Val Orbs applied to them to corrupt the essences. Greater essences are possible to be upgraded to 4 new corrupted essences. Continue to incrementally improve sound art effects and environments. Endgame changes. Alright. Areas of corruption of the Atlas now have a central corrupted nexus that is the source of the affliction in the areas leading up to the nexus. Corruption will spill out from slain enemies and amalgamate into powerful monsters. Upon reaching the nexus, you will begin the task of cleansing the source of the corruption. Complete this task and receive crystalline shards that you can use to obtain Atlas passive skill points. A boss for each faction has been added. These appear in the corrupted nexus. Additional corruption monster factions have also been introduced. Corruption monsters have had their visuals and animations improved and their skills rebalanced. Corruption areas no longer implicitly have +1 to area level, but are now much more likely to have modifiers, and the modifiers can be more powerful. Some new corruption modifiers have also been added. Cleansing a nexus will cause the surrounding maps to become cleansed maps, and they have their own set of monsters and rewards, including the newly introduced Fracturing Orb. Fracturing Orb fractures a random modifier onto a rare item with at least 4 modifiers, locking it in place. In order to obtain a corrupted nexus map, the waystone placed in the map device will need to have at least 4 modifiers. You can now respawn and return to a map if you die. Upon first entering the end game, you get 6 total attempts per map. As you add more modifiers to a waystone, the number of respawns goes down. In parties, everyone gets to respawn that number of times. You will be able to enter and exit your maps as much as you like, as long as you haven't died. The number of portals is representative of the number of revives you have during the map. Once you start a boss fight, the respawning system will change to require the map owner to collectively respawn the entire party. This is so that you must still kill the map boss from full life. If you decide to rush the map boss without interacting with any of the other map content and then die, you will respawn at the map boss checkpoint, and only the map boss will be present. All of the other monsters and content will be removed. This is to prevent cases where players would be able to farm multiple copies of the same rewards by dying on purpose. The number of towers in the Atlas have been reduced drastically and are now more powerful. I really like that change. Tablets, except Overseer tablets, are inherently add twice as many mechanics to towers, using higher tier waystones in towers. Also now increases the number of mechanics applied by tablets By tier 15, the bonus is double, allowing single tablet to add 4 times as many things as before. Wonder if they did that on purpose. Tower maps can now spawn with all extra content mechanics, including bosses. The number of maps affected by tablets can be doubled on average, and now also scales best based on map tier. Killing rare monsters required for map completion no longer has a chance to grant monster modifiers to the remaining rare monsters. I didn't know that was a thing. Increased the chances for rare monsters to have 3 or 4 modifiers in the maps. Note this means they drop more items. This is mostly to compensate for the removal of rare monsters, granting their modifiers to other rare monsters on death. A checkpoint now spawns the last available optional content in a map when the last available optional content in the map has been completed. Okay, so the last ritual will spawn a checkpoint. How waystones are obtained in maps has been redesigned. Our intention is to make both sustaining waystone drops much more reliable and less dependent on random elements. Waystones can no longer drop at a lower tier than the map you were in. Waystones dropped by the final boss will now always be 1 tier higher than the map you were in. Final map bosses and the final naturally occurring rare monsters in tier 1 maps have a 100% chance to drop a waystone. This chance scales down as you get higher in map tiers, but you will still be guaranteed with appropriate investment into waystone suffix modifiers and through Atlas passive tree. Natural waystone drops have been reduced to compensate. Remove chances for waystones to drop a tier higher from the Atlas passive tree and lower the amount of waystone quantity available on the Atlas passive tree. Sources of map boss have a chance to drop a waystone of a current tier or higher have been replaced by increased quantity of waystones dropped by map bosses. Doriani now has up to 10 waystones available for purchase, either at tier 1 or 1 tier below your highest completed tier. Overseer tablets now cause 2 to 4 maps in range to contain bosses, previously 3 to 7. Why? Boss is just more common? Is that why? Waystone chance granted by waystone suffix modifiers has been reduced, and as a result the new chances to drop waystones. As a result of the new chances, unidentified waystones now provide 30% increased waystone drop chance instead of increased quantity. So, got it. First 5 different unique maps you complete each now grant 2 Atlas passive skill points for a total of 10 points. Specialties of some maps have been adjusted to account for the addition of Asmirian spirits. Added new modifiers relating to the Asmirian spirits for Overseer tablets. Added new modifiers relating to Asmirian spirits for Rogue Exiles and Precursor tablets. The Untainted Paradise map now has 200 to 400 increased experience gains, previously 150 to 300. New crafting mechanic for recombination has been added to Expedition, which allows the selected mods of 2 items be combined, getting the best elements in a single item. As you select more mods, the chance of success decreases. If you are not successful, the item will be destroyed. This will be unlocked as you complete your first expedition and requires artifacts found during the expedition to fuel it. Okay. The tablet modifier causes ritual favors. Hey, welcome. You'll be recording and uploading this. It will be on YouTube as a live stream, so all of my VODs from YouTube stay on YouTube, and you can go back and watch them anytime. I will probably try and record something and make like a TLDR kind of thing, but we'll see. There's not a whole lot of time between now and the league start, so but we'll see what happens. But welcome, great question. Tablet modifier that causes ritual modifiers in your map to have 5 to 10% increased chance to be omens now has 12 to 25. Okay, so much better chance for omens now. Well, possible. Overseer tablet that causes my boss to drop waystones. The current tier now has a lower value. Precursor tablet suffixes that granted additional base chance for random content now grant increased chance. Okay, so they're increased chance rather than base chance. Provided rarity of items now has 10 to 15, previously 10 to 20. Tablet modifier that provides increased quantity of items is 3 to 7 from 3 to 8. Okay. Tablet modifier that provides increased pack size now has 3 to 7 from 3 to 8. Increased gold found 10 to 15 from 5 to 10. Breaches in your maps have higher monster density, now give 4 to 6, previously 5 to 10. Open faster has 3 to 5, previously 8 to 12. Okay. Tablet modifier for rare monsters having additional modifier can no longer roll. Modifier for simulacrum in simulacrum for rare monsters to have an additional modifier no longer appears. Various endgame quests that lead to the Arbiter of Ash encounter have been consolidated into a single quest. Nice. I like this. All bosses that are affected by difficulty and simulacrum can now drop all of their specific unique items at any difficulty. However, rare uniques are even rarer at lower difficulties. This also applies to the drop chance for reliquary keys from this content. I like this change. I think I like this change a lot. I think several rares were not rare enough, and then the unique items being dropped at any difficulty, although having a better chance to drop at higher difficulties, that I think is a good change. Pinnacle boss content now takes roughly half the amount of time to unlock compared to before. In addition, pinnacle bosses have been made much easier at difficulty 0 as well. It is our intention to allow you to face difficulty 0 content much earlier in your endgame progression while still preserving the difficulty of difficulty 4. Players no longer lose experience from dying in Simulacrum, Twisted Domain, Olroth's Arena, Inside Logbooks, and the Crux of Nothingness or the Burning Monolith. Players also no longer gain experience from killing monsters in these areas. Move the location of the stash in Simulacrum to make it harder to accidentally start the encounter when trying to open the stash. Good change. Reduce the power of notables on the League-specific atlas trees when acquiring logbooks, breach splinters, Simulacrum splinters, and Audience with the King. Don't know how much I love that. They said that this is easier at base, which I hope that's very true. I hope that, like, Audience with the King, I think I got 2 of. And I bought any others that I got. So I hope that's much easier to farm. Delirium encounters and maps now reward 1 Simulacrum Splinter each time a reward type is filled. Okay, Simulacrum Splinters can now be obtained through Delirium encounters in all map tiers, with the amount scaling up per map tier. Okay. Okay, so like if you have 4 rewards and you fill them up 5 times, you should get like 20 Simulacrum Splinters. I think that's how that is going to work. That's not too bad. Base number of monsters spawned in Delirium encounters have been reduced, and the number that emerge by touching fractured mirrors has been greatly increased. Reduce the intensity of fog in Delirium encounters. Number of monsters spawned from breaches has been reduced. A higher percentage of the total number of breach monsters spawned are now spawned earlier in the encounter. Okay, so it'll probably be similar at the beginning and it'll fall off harder, is what I'm guessing. Reduce the number of small breach chests found. Breach splinters can now be obtained from breaches in all map tiers, with the amount scaling up per map tier. Breach and Delirium encounters are now considered complete when you open a clasped hand or Delirium mirror. Strong boxes now spawn slightly more packs of monsters and maps. Omens now always appear as virtual rewards in map areas. There's also a small chance for an additional omen to appear. The vendors in the Ziggurat Refuge and those in your hideout now correctly have level 65 items rather than one having 60 and the other having 70. If you exit the game while in an endgame map area, logging back in with the same character will not place you back inside the map instance if it still exists. Cool. Alright. Atlas passive tree changes. Added support for Asmarian spirits and rogue exiles in the Atlas passive tree. I think rogue exiles are going to be really good. Added more notable passives and reworked some of the existing ones to make available choices more interesting. The Deadly Evolution Atlas Keystone has been replaced by a new keystone called Ecological Shift, which causes your maps to have 40% more chance to contain random content and 20% less number of monster packs in your maps. Can now obtain 40 Atlas passive skill trees, previously 30. Atlas is the map skill tree? Yes. The Crumbling Walls Atlas notable passive now has a 10% chance for an additional breach, previously 15, a 3% chance for 3 additional breaches, previously 5, and 1% for 10, previously 2. That's not awful. It's not great, but it's not awful. This might have been a little heavy-handed, but we'll see based on the tower tablets that you can get. Extreme Archaeology notable Atlas no longer causes monsters to spawn with 20% of their life remaining or missing. Okay. Frantic Invasion Atlas notable passive now has 50% increased quantity of breach splinters dropped by breach monsters, previously 75. I don't love that. Grasping Hands Atlas notable passive now has 30% more clasped hands, and clasped hands in your maps give 20% chance to be guarded by a pack of magic monsters. Interdimensional Assault Atlas notable passive now has breaches in your maps have 10% increased monster density, previously 15. Ominous Portents now causes Ritual Favor to have 100% increased chance to be omens, previously 50. The Rising Pyre Atlas notable passive now has breaches in your maps of 25% increased monster density as opposed to 40. Okay, so overall breach is pretty heavily nerfed, which is good. Like that needed to happen. I wonder if it's a little heavy-handed, but we'll see. I'm a little sad that they haven't altered breach to collect all the splinters from monsters in one place, because that would make life so much better. Alright. General improvements. In order to work around a common crash that was occurring on an NVIDIA hardware with recent drivers, that game can now recover from device removed events. When this occurs, the game will display a loading screen and pause while it attempts to recover. This only applies for this specific type of client crash, not all client crashes. The reforging bench in towns has now been repositioned to more optimal locations. The stash and guild stashes have also been slightly spaced apart to reduce misclicking. Strong boxes can now appear in certain Act 1 areas. Added a stash in the treasure room in the Trials of Chaos. Awesome. Many fire skills now visually burn grass in areas. That's pretty cool. Improve the performance of summoning and reviving minions. This means further improved safety checks preventing using movement skills to skip elevators in Trials of Chaos and prevent the encounters from functioning correctly. Okay, good. The jumps performed when using Escape Shot and Toxic Growth allow you to jump over enemies in small amounts of terrain. Vaulting Impact will also receive this change at a later date. Okay, cool. Decay debuff from Decaying Hex support now uses a more appropriate visual effect and displays below the enemy's life bar. Grenade skills now have a small amount of random variation in travel distance when firing multiple grenades at once. Firebolt now uses the same animation as freezing shards instead of a generic projectile spell animation. Updated the 3D art of the stash and guild stash. Player changes. Okay. Characters are now required to be at least level 25 to enter the cruel difficulty areas and level 50 to enter the end game areas. I don't know that I love this. I mean, functionally, we're probably not going to notice. At least most people won't notice. But I don't know. It seems like an arbitrary rule. Player base attack speed while unarmed is now 1.4, previously 1.2. Killing Palm, Shattering Palm, Staggering Palm, and Hand of Chayula now have 25% less attack speed to compensate for this change. Previously 10%. Okay. Freeze now builds up roughly 48% slower on enemies. Player base ailment threshold is now half of maximum life, previously all. Presence base radius is now 4 meters, previously 6 meters. I really don't like that. Monster modifiers stolen from rare monsters, such as through the Behead support, have had the effect where they provide players. Have had the effect they provide to players to adjust it to be more appropriate. Okay. The cruel version of Candlemass Essence now it provides 5% increased life, previously 8. Alright. I feel like life was already in a tough spot. But sure. Worn Sandals Trial of Sekima's Affliction now grants 30% less movement speed if you've been hit by an enemy recently, previously 25% reduced. Okay. Blocking a hit by raising your shield or parrying now gives you a chance to avoid accumulating heavy stun buildup equal to the chance you would otherwise have had to evade the hit. Unified stun mechanics and terminology between players and monsters. The stagger that players suffer when blocking too much damage with their shield raised is now a heavy stun. Players are still unable to be heavy stunned unless a mechanic specifically states otherwise. Players can no longer be light stunned while their shield is raised. Modifiers to curse effect have been changed to instead apply to curse magnitude. This means that they are multiplicative with any other modifiers to the same effect of the debuff on target. For example, curse magnitude and slow magnitude are now multiplicative with each other for temporal chains. Good. Player created objects such as ice crystals no longer have a monster power value. Interesting. Ice crystals can no longer apply on kill effects such as Herald of Ash and Trampletoe's Overkill. Yep, that makes sense. Players have 50% more light stun threshold per time stunned in the past 4 seconds. Good. Heavy stun bar now doesn't start emptying until heavy stun animation has finished instead of when it starts. That's gonna be deadly. Okay. Heavy stun duration on players is now 3 seconds as opposed to 1 second. Oh. Yeah, heavy stun's gonna be really bad. Players cannot block or evade hits while they are heavy stunned. Critical weakness stacks now track duration individually rather than refreshing the duration on all stacks when a new stack is gained. Okay, so critical weakness got a minor nerf. Pinned targets can no longer evade. Pinning a target now also causes them to be light stunned. Does this apply to players? Because players can be pinned, and if you are an evasion build, is that going to just get you killed? I don't know. That worries me. Base duration for endurance, frenzy, and power charges is now 15 seconds, previously 20. Fully broken armor now causes enemies to take 20% increased physical damage from hits. Revivable minions now spawn with their skills on cooldown. This only applies to newly summoned minions, not minions that have just revived. Got it, understood. An ancestrally boosted slam now has 30% more damage and 20% more area of effect, previously 20 for both. Okay. Persistent minions, granted by an ascendancy passive. Ascendancy passive skills will now automatically be summoned when you allocate the passive for the first time. Awesome. Players and monsters now only count as moving while moving, rather than for the whole length of many animations that have some movement during some part of them. Setting a stat to a specific value, such as Chaos Inoculation setting your life to 1, or Blood Magic setting your mana to 0, now occurs before conversion is applied to the stat, rather than being ignored by conversion. Okay, so goodbye Chaos Inoculation, Ghost Writhe builds. The Surprising Strength Ascendancy notable passive. Okay, Ascendancy changes. Surprising Strength, so this is the Titan. Surprising Strength now provides 50% more damage against heavy stunned enemies, previously 40%. The Earthbreaker Ascendancy passive now gives 25% chance for slam skills you use yourself to cause aftershocks, previously 20. Okay. Warbringers, the Warcaller's Bellow Ascendancy passive skill now causes war cries to explode corpses, dealing 25% of their life as physical damage instead of providing corpses in your presence. Explode when you war cry, dealing 25% of their life as physical damage. So this allows Warcry area of effect to scale the corpse explosion radius. Okay, so this is overall a probably pretty significant buff. Turtle Charm Ascendancy passive skill now has 25% less block chance, previously 35. Okay, so it's just better. Encase in Jade skill has been reworked and now consumes all stacks of Jade to grant guard based off of your maximum life for each Jade stack consumed. The Ancestral Spirit skill, granted by Answered Call Ascendancy passive, now has minions. Now has minions from this skill have 1% increased accuracy rating per 3 of your dexterity, 1% increased damage for 3 of your strength. Minions granted by this skill have the following changes. Ancestral Jadecaster's pinning skill has a cooldown lowered to 10 seconds, previously 15. Jade Hulk now has 300% more stun buildup, previously 200. Warcaller's Bellow buff from the Ancestral Warhorn now grants 10 rage on hit, previously 5. And 20% increased skill speed, previously 10. The Power Shell Aura from the Ancestral Spirit Turtle now grants nearby allies 80% increased defenses and 40% increased block chance. Gemling Legionnaire. Oof. Enhanced Effectiveness Ascendancy passive skill now grants 20% less attributes. Which one is that? Okay, so that is this one. The inherent bonuses are doubled. Now gives you less attributes. That's rough. Integrated Efficiency Ascendancy passive skill has swapped positions with Gem Studded. Gem Studded at Integrated Efficiency. I like that change. I think that's a good change. Item, it no longer provides +3 skill slots. Instead, it now causes skills to gain 20% increased damage per socket. Per socketed red support gem, 6% increased skill speed per socketed green support gem, and critical hit chance per socketed blue support gem. Okay, I like this. I think this is a more interesting change. Implanted gems Ascendancy passive skill now no longer provides +1 level of all skills. Instead, it now provides a choice between +2 level of all skills with a strength requirement, dex requirement, or int requirement. So, altered. Not necessarily worse, but altered. No Mercy Ascendancy passive skill on the Witch Hunter now causes you to deal up to 40% more damage to enemies based on their missing concentration, previously 30. Obsessive Rituals Ascendancy passive now provides 35% less armor and evasion rating, previously 50%. The Sorcery Ward Barrier Recharge Delay has also been reduced by 2 seconds on all gem levels. Hey, how's it going, Quicksilver? Welcome. Deadeye. Thrilling Chase Ascendancy passive skill now provides when you consume frenzy charges, you count as having consumed twice as many. Previously 50% chance, and described in a slightly different way. This is incredible. This is going to be so good. Deadeye might be a crazy good spear ascendancy. Like, so spears all work off of frenzy, right? So you can consume frenzy charges to do things. Thrilling Chase and Avidity. So Avidity gives you, when you would gain frenzy charges, you have a chance to gain up to maximum number. And then Thrilling Chase is now no longer a 50% chance. It is just you count as having double. That's gonna be so good. Skills fire additional projectiles, additional mark, Tailwind. Yeah, I don't know. This is insane now, I think. Is, let's see, where is Frenzy? It's 2 max Frenzy. +1 max Frenzy and 5% when you would gain 1, you gain up to max. And another 1, so you have 3 base plus 4, bringing you to 7. I don't think you gained any from these. No. Is that it? Okay, so assuming you don't get any from items, you can get 3 without too much travel. Or you can get up to 7 without too much travel, and then you count as having 14. That's really good. That's so good. Lots of love from Grace. How you been doing? I've been doing pretty good. Hoping I can figure out what I'm gonna start with the patch notes. They buff bleeding, ignite, and poison ailments. I have no idea yet. We will see, but they have definitely nerfed Corpse Wade, which was our main build. So we'll see if they're good enough to keep going with. All right, Pathfinder. Running Assault Ascendancy now grants 50% less movement speed penalty from using skills while moving, previously 30. The location has been swapped with Relentless Pursuit. Connected Chemistry Ascendancy passive has been removed. Enduring Elixirs now no longer has a prerequisite. Added a new multi-choice Practical Remedies Ascendancy passive skill that provides the ability to allocate grounding stick, dousing vial, or thawing campfire, which provides immunity to shock, immunity to ignite, or immunity to freeze, respectively. Added a new Sustainable Practices Ascendancy passive skill, which provides 30% evasion rating. 30% of evasion rating also grants elemental damage reduction. What? Okay, is that good? Is that good? So, if I have 12,000 evasion, then that is I mean, it's like 4,000 flat damage reduction for elemental. That seems really good. Is it flat reduction or is it... It's gotta be flat reduction, right? Where did you see corpse weight? I just control F corpse. But it's down in the unique changes. Basically the damage is halved. That seems really good. Accolade of Shayula. Embrace Darkness. Ascendancy passive now provides +8 darkness per level, previously +5. Ravenous Doubt's Ascendancy passive skills no longer provides Mana Leech. It's instant. Instead, it now provides Mana Leech, recovers based on other damage types as well as physical damage. Honor lost during the trial of Sekimas is now taken before the Acolyte of Chayula's Darkness. Invoker, which I expect is going to be nerfed. And protect me from harm. Ascendancy passive now provides 50% less evasion, previously 40. Oof. Aid me through grace now provides 1 spirit for every 8 ES, previously 6, and 1 spirit for every 20 evasion, previously 15. Those aren't awful. They're not great, but that's not bad. Elemental expression skill granted by the scatter them to the winds now deals 40% more damage at all gem levels. Elemental expression is the cast on crit, isn't it? Yeah, melee critical hit. Nice. I'm glad that it got buffed. Blood Mage. Blood Barb's Ascendancy passive skill no longer provides 10% of damage gained as extra physical damage. It now causes bleeding you inflict on cursed targets to be aggravated. Okay. Added a new Between the Cracks Ascendancy passive skill that causes critical hits to ignore monster armor. Requires Sanguimancy. Everything requires Sanguimancy. This isn't enough, I don't think. Yeah, I really just don't think this is enough. Okay. Demon Form skill granted by demonic possession. Ascendancy passive skill. Although, you know what? Maybe Blood Mage is just fixed by life being better, hopefully, maybe. Alright, Infernalist. Demon Form skill granted by the demonic possession. Ascendancy passive skill now has a cooldown of 15 seconds, previously 20. Maximum Demon Flame of 10. It was previously uncapped. You now lose a flat amount of life per second per Demon Flame, scaling with skill level rather than a percentage of your max life. The dodge roll while in demon form has now had its distance reduced. Oof. Seething Body Ascendancy passive skill now has the while on high infernal flame, you and your allies in your presence gain 50% of damage as fire damage, previously 20. That's really good. Grinning Immolation Ascendancy passive skill now provides 50% more critical damage bonus as opposed to 30. Pyromantic Pact now causes 50% of infernal flame to be lost per second if none was gained in the past 2 seconds, previously 10. That is going to make maintaining infernal flame a little rough, maybe? I don't know. I haven't played the demon form, so I don't actually know. Bringer of Flame Ascendancy passive skill now causes all damage from you and allies in your presence to contribute to ignite chance and magnitude, instead of providing while not on low infernal flame. All damage from you and your allies in your presence contribute, and it no longer requires Pyromantic Pact. So now you just get ignite chance and magnitude all the time with everything. Okay, cool. Loyal Hellhound Ascendancy passive skill no longer causes 20% of damage taken from your Hellhound before you. Ouch. Mastered Darkness Ascendancy passive skill now grants Demon Flame has no maximum. Okay. Small mana ascendancy passive skill now grants 3%, previously 4. After allocating Pyromantic Pact ascendancy passive skill, you will now have at least one maximum. Wait. You will have at least one maximum Infernal Flame, even with 100% reduced maximum mana. Okay, so got it. Blink while in demon form now plays an appropriate animation instead of to blink. Okay. Chronomancer, circular heartbeat ascendancy passive skill has been removed. Rapid river no longer has a prerequisite. Okay. I wish that hadn't left. I thought that was pretty cool. Quicksand Hourglass Ascendancy now grants every 10 seconds gain 50% more cast speed for 5 seconds, previously 12 seconds for 4 seconds. Okay. New Flood of Echoes Ascendancy passive that grants the Unleash skill. I don't know if this is enough. I think the Chronomancer might have needed more help than that. This might help, but we'll see how good the Unleash skill is. Stormweaver. Alright, let's see how bad it got. Force of Will Ascendancy passive skill now provides 1% increased effective arcane surge on you per 25% maximum mana, previously 15 mana. Okay, that could have been a lot worse. Scouring Winds Ascendancy passive skill now causes exposure you inflict to lower the affected resistance by an additional 12%, previously 20%. Okay, still not awful. Strike Twice Ascendancy no longer provides 50% less shock duration. Instead, it now provides 25% less magnitude of shock you inflict. That, I think, actually hurts. Small mana ascendancy passive skills no longer grant 4. They now provide increased mana regeneration rate. That also hurts, I think. Alright. Passive skill tree changes. With the addition of the Huntress and the other new game mechanics, we've added passive support for these throughout the passive skill tree. There are many new clusters, mostly in the Huntress Ranger area of the tree, and many existing passive skills have been updated, and these changes may result in your existing passive tree being forcefully refunded if you had allocated nodes around those areas where the layout changed. New blind related clusters, new volatility related clusters, ranged and melee related clusters, hazard related clusters, companion related clusters, presence radius and aura related clusters. I hope these are good. Parry related clusters, banner related clusters, bleeding related clusters, thorns related clusters, quiver related cluster. Okay, only one of those though. Interesting. Quiver only got one. Added a new Crimson Assault Keystone passive skill in the southeast of the Ranger Hunter starting area. Crimson Assault causes bleeding you inflict to be aggravated and the base bleeding duration to be 1 second. I'm struggling. Added a new Trusted Kinship Keystone passive skill in the southeast of the Ranger and Huntress starting area location. Trusted Kinship allows you to have 2 companions of different types, causes companions to have +1 to each defense for every 2 of that defense that you have. It also causes you to have 30% less defenses. Okay, so you can have more companions and they gain more defenses, but you lose some. The following notable passive skills have been removed and you will no longer be able to instill them, but existing ones will still function. Break focus, hold focus, lasting auctions, potent concoctions. What are those? Let's see, lasting. Okay, flask effect duration. Okay. 12 jewel sockets have been removed from the passive skill tree. Existing characters with jewels in these removed sockets can reclaim their jewels in their main inventory using the new Reclaim Jewels chat command. Acrobatics Keystone passive skill now grants a 75% less evasion rating, previously 70. Eldritch Battery Keystone passive skill now has the additional property of doubles mana cost. Ouch. I think that might hurt a lot. But we'll have to see how well that hits. Giant's Blood Keystone passive skill now has triple attribute requirements of martial weapons. This previously only affected axes, maces, and swords, but was described as weapons. Could you? I mean, I guess you can't do two-handed spears. We don't know that yet. Maybe. We'll have to see. Either way, Cat-like Agility notable passive skill now grants 40% increased evasion rating if you dodge rolled recently, previously 25%. Falcon Technique grants 1% increased attack speed per 25 dexterity, previously per 15. Ouch, that one hurts. Freedom of Movement notable passive skill tree now provides 10% reduced move speed penalty from using skills, previously 30% of evasion if you dodge rolled recently. I like this more, but I also just really don't like conditionals. Heavy Buffer notable passive skill now grants 5% of damage taken, bypasses energy shield instead of 10% reduced maximum life. This is awesome. Where is this? Let's see. Heavy Buffer. That's awesome. Icebreaker notable passive tree now grants additional freeze threshold equal to 50% of maximum energy shield, previously 100. Mana Blessing notable no longer has 5% increased maximum mana and now provides 20% increased mana regeneration rate. Master of Fletching notable passive skill now provides 20% increased bonuses granted from equipped quiver, previously 30. Two small passive skills prior now have 6%, previously 10%, while the two passive skills after now provide 20% increased chance to inflict ailments with projectiles. Okay. Pile On notable passive now grants 30% increased armor break debuff instead of its previous effects. Polymathy now grants 7% increased attributes as opposed to 10. Raw Mana notable now grants 8% increased mana as opposed to 12. Spaghettification now grants 13 to all attributes instead of 7% increased attributes and now provides -7 chaos resistance, previously 13. Split Earth notable passive skill now has 10% chance for mace strike skills. You use yourself to cause aftershocks, dealing the same damage to enemies within 1.8 meters. Area previously not specified. I see. Unhindered notable passive skill now grants 12% reduced move speed penalty using skills while moving. One of the slow effects on you small passive skills in this cluster has been updated to provide 8% reduced movement speed penalty. Okay, Unwavering Stance no longer has stun threshold is doubled, instead has cannot be light stunned. This is really good. This is effectively cannot be stunned, but because there is like special rules around heavy stunning, you can't be heavy stunned unless specifically stated, and I think those are limited to shield things. So now Unwavering Stance takes away the rest of the areas where you could be stunned. It's good. So don't be on a Roa, don't have a shield, or don't use the active part of your shield, and you effectively can't be stunned. Small attack damage with nearby ally passive skill in the Killer Instinct cluster has been replaced with another small passive providing 10% increased attack damage. Okay. All passive skills that previously provided 8% increased effective auras from your aura skills now have the value of 5%. Notable passive skills that provided 20% increased effective auras from your aura skills now have 12%. Clarified the wording on Iron Grip and Iron Will keystone effects. Alright. Gotta take a sip. GGG always had problems explaining patch notes in engine. These notes are for scientists. Yeah. I mean, well, overall, we'll figure it out once we get in game. Alright. Skill changes. Many skills have had their base damage and or damage growth per level rebalanced. Most changes are not specifically mentioned below, as the changes are too widespread. The mana cost for all attacks, marks, and war cries has been reduced, most notably at higher gem levels. Adjusted minion damage and life scaling. General damage and life is the same early game but lower than before at higher levels, especially past gem level 20. Ouch. Adjusted the target life threshold for skeletal arsonist explosive demise skill accordingly with life scaling changes. Adjusted skeletal clerics heal life scaling accordingly. Arc no longer deals more damage for each remaining chain and chains 6 to 8 times at gem levels 5 through 20, previously 2 to 5, so chains more but doesn't get more damage per chain. It now provides 2% more damage for each remaining chain, up to 2% on its quality. So Arc is pretty heavily reduced in effectiveness. Archmage now causes non-channeling spells to gain 3% of damage as extra lightning damage for each 100 maximum mana you have at all gem levels, previously 5 to 6 at gem levels 14 through 20. Non-channeling spells now cost an additional 6.7 to 6.1% of your maximum mana at gem levels 14 through 20, previously 5.3 to 5.05. Quality now provides 1 to 10% reduced reservation instead of granting non-channeling spells. Gain 2% damage as extra lightning for each 100 maximum mana. This is not as heavy-handed as I expected. I feel like this is probably still good. Like it's not nearly as broken because they tapped mana, they tapped a couple of things, but this is still a good buff. Isn't my native language. Tell me something. Why they have to nerf the build that didn't exist at the top 10? And I mean Arc. I think what really went on is they wanted to make sure they caught Archmage. I think Arc only got hit because of Archmage. That is my theory. But a lot of things got hit. I think this might be a pretty tame hit compared to basically everything. But we will see. Armor Breaker has had the armor break amount lowered by roughly 200% at all gem levels. Yeah, no problem. Artillery Ballista base physical damage scaling now matches that of the other totems like Shockwave Totem and Ripwire Ballista. Artillery Explosion now converts 100% of physical damage to fire damage, previously 90. Quality now provides 0.4 seconds to totem's base attack time, previously increased attack speed. Ancestral Warrior Totem now explicitly states that it wields two-handed mace to clarify that it benefits from your mace-related stats. Quality is now plus 0 to 2 seconds of duration. Okay, so totem buff. Banner skills now have an aura radius of 4.5 meters, previously 4, and are now correctly considered aura skills. Barrage repeats now deal 50% less damage at all gem levels, previously 23 to 15. Ouch. 560 to 410% of repeated skills attack time is now added to the skills cooldown to a maximum of 30 seconds at gem levels 5 to 20. So damage down, but cooldown also down. Quality has now causes repeats to deal more damage, previously 0 to 15. So yeah, damage down, but quality, or damage down, but cooldown also down. Barrier Invocation now only builds energy from enemy hits to energy shield rather than all hits to energy shield. Barrier Invocation now grants 1 energy for each 10 energy shield lost, 2 damage taken. Okay. Bleeding Concoction now has 200% more magnitude of the Bleeding Inflict. Bleeding Concoction might be really good. Blink is now a travel skill. Bone Blast now has 40% chance to inflict bleeding on hit. Bone Storm's Shrapnel has become a general mechanic called Impale, similar to the Impale mechanic in Path of Exile 1. Hits that impale an enemy cause the next attack hit against that enemy to gain added physical damage equal to 30% of the physical damage of the dealt by impaling it. Okay, by the impaling hit. Okay. Do you think they have an update for PoE 2DB? Not yet. No, that will come probably a couple hours after they drop the download link for the patch, which will probably be like tomorrow, sometime tomorrow night maybe. Bone Blast now has a 40% chance to inflict bleeding on hit, previously 20%. Bone Storm Shrapnel has become a general mechanic. Oh wait, I just read that. Bone Storm now impales on hit instead of applying a specialized debuff, and now has 200% more impale magnitude. Cast on Minion Death now only gains energy when persistent minions are killed. So, goodbye to Summon Raging Spirits. Additionally, minions that are created by a very underleveled minion skill relative to the current area level now grant less energy when killed. Level 20 plus minion skills will incur no penalty in the endgame content. Cast on Shock now gains 1 energy per power of enemies use shock with hits from skills, previously 2. Cluster Grenade's mini grenade explosion radius is now 1.4 meters, previously 1.2. Combat Frenzy now has gain a frenzy charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pin. No more than once every 5.3 to 4.1 seconds. Previously 2.4 to 1.58. I don't love this. I think this is a silly change. But that's fine. I don't really enjoy the way charges work in the game right now. Freeze, electrocute, or pin. So you'd need to find a way to do that. I don't know. Gotta be a good way to do this. Concoction skills now require an unarmed weapon set and no longer deal your base unarmed damage, instead dealing only attack damage specified from the skill-like marks. They now consume 5 mana flask charges per use, previously 3. I don't feel like that was necessary, but sure. Conductivity now causes cursed enemies to have negative 25% to lightning resistance at gem level 7, previously 32, scaling up to 29. Okay, so lightning damage hit again. Cold Step now has a damage explosion radius of 1.6 meters, previously 0.07 or 0.7, sorry. Curse skills now apply their curse after 1.5 second delay, previously 1 second. Why? Dark Effigy projectiles now have a critical hit chance of 7%, previously 11, and impact radius of 1.2 meters, previously 0.8. Quality now has 0 to 20% chance to inflict withered from 0 to 50. Okay. Decompose, the skill granted by the corpse weight unique boots, now cause poison cloud to poison enemies as though dealing chaos damage equal up to 10 to 19.5% of a corpse's maximum life at gem levels 1 through 20, previously 30 to 39. So this is the corpse weight nerf. So 1/3 to 1/2 the damage. Despair now grants cursed enemies have a negative 20% chaos res at gem level 9, scaling up to a negative 24 from negative 36. I am just not gonna level up my curses. Like, it's 4%. I don't know that they're worth the extra mana cost, honestly. Detonate dead skill now deals physical damage equal to 8.8 to 10% of a corpse's maximum life at gem level 7 through 20, previously 20% at all gem levels. Scaling further past gem level 20, it now also deals 41 to 61 fire damage at gem level 7, previously 28 to 43, scaling up to 139 to 208 fire damage at gem level 20. What skill do you think? I have no idea. Where are the notes? I can't find them. So you should go to forum patch notes right here. So Path of Exile, forum index, patch notes, patch notes. Quicksilver, you said what skill do you think? What do you mean when you say what skill? Yep, no problem, Tyler. Let's see. Detonating arrows explosion radius is now bigger. Direct minions now has a cooldown. Why? To play? There's a chance I still go corpse weight, because 10 to 19% is not horrible. Like, it's a lot less damage, don't get me wrong. And minion life also got hit. But we're getting specters. And we might be able to pull this back. But we'll see. Because I think Lich can maybe salvage this still. What is the direct minions? So whenever you have a summoned minion, you have a skill, like it's like control click or something, that tells your minions to go somewhere. Like you can order your minions to move to a location. That's the direct minion skill. And it now has a cooldown. Elemental Invocation now gains 10 energy per power of enemies you freeze with hits from skills. Two energy per power of Ignite. And 1 energy per power you gain with Shock, previously 3. Okay, I don't like the invocation skills personally. Escape Shot now scales freeze build up with gem level up to 585 more, 300 previously, and quality now gives more freeze build up. So Escape Shot is really good at freezing now. Explosive Concoction now has 20%, 200% more magnitude of ignite inflicted. So Explosive Concoction is better at igniting. Not just doesn't have a minion summon and sacrificed to get buff for it, so maybe we can't do that with the sacrifice and corpse wade. And also specters. So specters we will be able to do it with. Companions, I have no idea. Yeah, specters will be able to do it. And then I think companions, it depends, because companions might be considered minions, but they also might not be considered minions. So it depends on whether or not they're considered revivable minions, as to whether or not Corpse Wade will work on them. If they do, they might be really good. And then specters are definitely going to be really good. Because we'll find one of the really good minions, like a really tanky minion. Like, we don't care what the damage is on a tanky minion. Explosive grenade cooldown is now 7 seconds, previously 3, and now has an explosion radius of 2.24 meters at gem level 1 to 20. Eye of Winter now gains 75% of damage as damage of corresponding type when passing over elemental ground. Eye of Winter is going to be really good. Previously 50. Okay, it's going to be a little better than it was. Skill also no longer incorrectly states the projectile applies the passed over ground effect to nearby enemies. Okay, that's a shame. Falling Thunder projectiles now have 50% more damage per power charge consumed. Fireball no longer bypasses the Raging Spirit limit. The secondary Fireball projectiles are no longer affected by additional projectiles. This was mostly to prevent performance issues when used with wild shards to support. Firebolt now has a maximum downward tilt angle against closer targets, making it harder to hit enemies with multiple explosions. Firestorm's improved bolts now have a critical hit chance of 7 as opposed to 14. Well, that's a little bit of a bummer. Fire Blast now has a 15 per second. Wait, what? Flame Blast now has a 15-second cooldown and now has a 75% damage, more damage scaling per stage. And now has an explosion radius of 0.6 meters per stage, previously 0.4, and has more cast speed. I mean, the cast speed doesn't matter if it has a 15-second cooldown. That's wild. Flame Wall now causes projectiles which pass through it to deal 33 to 48 added fire damage at level 20, previously 64 to 91. Ouch. That is nearly half. Gem level 1 values are unchanged. Okay, so it's half at high level, so still, that's rough. More significant reductions have been made past gem levels, gem level 20. Okay, so early Flame Wall is nearly untouched. Flammability now causes cursed enemies to have... okay, so flammability is worse. Flash Grenade now has more stun buildup. Fragmentation rounds has a base explosion radius of 1.8 at all gem levels. 15 seconds is way too long. I agree. Freezing Shards now fires 5 projectiles, previously 7, and now has more freeze buildup. Freezing Salvo now scales freeze buildup with gem level, 107% more at gem level 20. Frost Bomb now has a pulse explosion radius of 2 to 2.7, previously 1.7 to 2.4. Frost Wall now has a cooldown of 5 seconds. Okay, that's doable. That's workable. Frozen Locust Explosion now deals 6 to 9 at base quarterstaff cold damage at gem level 1, unchanged, scaling up to 141 to 121, previously 89 to 134. So Frozen Locust is much more powerful, but I doubt it's still going to be used. Fulminating Concoction now has 200% more chance to shock. That's not going to do anything. Galvanic Shards now converts 60% of physical damage to lightning damage. Gas Arrow, Gas Grenade, and Decompose has a limit of 6. Ouch. That might kill the... 6 poison clouds. That hurts. That hurts a lot. Yeah, that might throw a wrench in things. Glacial Bolt Walls now last 8 seconds, previously 6. Glacial Cascade quality is now Gain 0 to 10% physical damage as cold damage instead of 0 to 10% increased attack speed. Grim Feast can no longer be engraved in the gem cutting menu. Existing Grim Feasts have been disabled. We aim to rework Grim Feast in the future. They removed it from the game. Hammer of the Gods no longer has a cooldown, but now requires 20 glory to use. Glory is a resource that gets built up by heavy stunning enemies. The amount of glory gained is based on the stunned monster power. Quality is now impact radius, previously cooldown recovery rate. Alright, cool. I hate that. Hand of Chiula now specifies that it triggers socketed marks. This is purely a description change. Herald skills with attack hits now properly state their hits cannot be evaded. This is not a functional change, just a descriptive one. Herald of Ash explosion radius is now 1.2, previously 1. Herald of Ash quality now provides an additional overkill damage that contributes to the ignite damage instead of the previous ignite surrounding enemies if overkill damage is at least 2% of the enemy's life benefit that was actively detrimental. Herald of Ice explosion radius is now 1.6, previously 1.8. Herald of Plague now requires a martial weapon. Making it consistent with the weapon restrictions of the other Herald skills. Sure. Herald of Thunder's Bolt Impact is now 1.4, previously 1.6. Hex Blast can now only detonate curses for which the at least 50% of the duration has expired. This means it can never explode. Curses that have an infinite duration. Curse orbs will be visually different from 50% of the curse duration has expired if you have Hex Blast equipped. The explosion radius of Hex Blast has been increased to 2 meters, previously 1.6, and it now has a maximum of 3 explosions per cast, previously 9. Wow. Why did that get hit so hard? Hex Blast damage has been lowered by roughly 17% at all gem levels. Explosion radius has been reduced to 1.2 meters, previously 1.6. Wait. What? These two seem to be contradictory as far as radius goes, but whatever. Hypothermia now causes cursed enemies to have much worse negative cold res. Ice crystals created by Glacial Bolt and Frostwall now have lowered life scaling past gem level 20, and their scaling up to this point is change. Ice Shard explosion radius is now 1.4, previously 1.2, and has a maximum of 16 active shards, previously 12, and now has 16 bolts loaded per clip, previously 12. Shards that have existed for 0.5 seconds, previously 1, now deal 700 more damage, previously 900. If you have multiple travel skills with cooldowns, their cooldowns are now shared. Hate that. I mean, I didn't use many travel skills anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Improved ball lightning description to clarify the ball itself does not hit enemies. Improved skeletal cleric behavior to reduce cases where they would have run at enemies and attempted to attack them. Incinerate now has less ignite duration. Deep Slam now has more stun buildup. Lightning Conduit now performs a number of extra lightning bolts if it consumes shocks from an enemy. These bolts are distributed among targets in the skills area, but can hit the same target multiple times if few enough targets are hit. That's really cool. That's like really cool. Lightning Bolt now has a 200% more chance to shock, previously 100. Good. Lightning Conduit now has 20% more damage with hits per 5% shock, previously 100. Necessary. Lightning Rod Arrow now disappears after being chained 6 times at all levels, previously 8 to 14 times. Arrows now take 1 second to charge up before releasing a lightning burst when chained 2 lightning arrows that chain the lightning rod arrows cause the pulse to happen instantly instead of needing to charge up. Lightning warp no longer creates shock to ground if targeting a ball lightning projectile. Magma spray from the magma barrier skill now deals 6 to 10 to 151 to 226 base fire damage, previously 4 to 7 to 234 to 351, so it got nerfed. And now has added damage per armor, previously 2 to 4, 6. Okay, so it got less base, much more per armor, and now has a damage effectiveness of a lower damage effectiveness. Okay. Magnetic salvo now deals 100 to 140 attack damage. Hey, thanks.
Q1 Silver just redeemed posture check.
Will do. Thank you for the reminder. Is it possible to zoom in 2 times on the page? Yeah, we can do that. All right. Magnetic salvo now deals 100 to 140 attack damage with impact at gem levels 13 to 20. And 155 to 280% of attack damage at explosion gems at level 13 to 20. Previously more. Now fires up to 8 missiles, previously 14 to 17. Mana Tempest quality now grants additional damage gained as lightning instead of causing the effects to linger after you've exited, which did not actually function. Okay, so Mana Tempest got buffed. Mantra of Destruction's Purple Flames of Chiula now has a duration of 8 seconds, previously 6. Malice now applies critical weakness every 0.52 seconds, previously 0.64. Yeah, but they kind of butchered critical weakness. Molten Blast now has, while dual wielding, fire twice as many projectiles with 15% less attack speed, previously 30. Okay. Pain Offerings Aura now grants minions 28 to 58% increased damage at gem levels 5 to 20 rather than 29 to 44 more. Aura also now grants increased attack speed and cast speed, previously 30% all. Okay, so significantly less damage, significantly more attack and cast speed at high levels. Perfect Strike no longer always ignites, now has an attack speed of 35% of base, previously 45%. Quality now provides more ignite chance, previously magnitude. Perfect Strike is also deal damage based on a wider area close to the player, making it less likely to miss enemies standing next to the player. After reading PN, you no, I'll probably stick around for a little bit to Theorycraft. I usually go for about 4 hours, and we started at about 7:30. So we started about an hour and a half ago. Oh god, we're not even halfway through. Okay, Molten Blast now has. Oh, we get done that. Permafrost Bolts now scale freeze. Build up with gem level up to 186%. Previously 80%. Plague Bearer now stores or poison. Damage past gem level 20 has also been reduced. Okay, almost more poison. Poison Concoction is now has 200% more magnitude of poison inflicted, previously 100, and now deals base physical damage instead of chaos damage. This is probably still really good. Profane Ritual now has a ritual radius of 2.2 meters. I don't remember what profane ritual is. Got it. Okay. And now deal. Okay, so it's got a slightly larger radius. Raging Spirits now has a spirit duration of 5 seconds at a maximum 2 spirits summoned per spell cast, previously 5. Been updated to make it clear that triggered spells will not summon spirits. Why? Okay. Maybe it's just me. Why nerf this further when you've removed the ability for them to do the thing that was actually problematic? Like, Raging Spirits can no longer cast on minion death. So why were they nerfed further? Improved performance of spawning very high amounts of Raging Spirits. If you spawn a large number of spirits at the same time, spawning of them will now be spread out over a short duration. Okay. Rain of arrows landing frequency is now affected by projectile speed modifiers, meaning that, for example, increased projectile speed causes the same number of arrows to land in a shorter total time. They're problematic. I mean, yeah, but the problematic behavior was already removed. Unless, like, Raging Spirits were just good and I didn't know about it. It's possible. Ripwire, Ballista Bolts. Now pin enemies. Oh, Reaper Invocation is now better. Rolling Slam now has +1 total, +1 second to total attack time. Previously 1.5 seconds, and mana cost has been adjusted accordingly. Gross. Sacrifice now has minions revive 66% more slowly, previously 37. And 60, previously 31. Ouch. Ouch. That hurts. Explain please that sacrifice. Okay, so sacrifice is the skill that allows you to use minions or skills that consume corpses. So decompose being one of those, right? So as soon as this loads. Okay, so to put that in perspective, let's see, gems. Do I have low level spirit gem? I have a level 5 spirit gem. Oh, it needs level 14. Okay. Level 14. I do have a level 14 spirit gem. Where is sacrifice? Okay, so to put that in perspective, that would bring our revive timer from just around 7 seconds to that work correctly? Yeah, so 14 levels. And then we need to activate it. I suppose it's not that big a difference. It's on the higher side of 7. But this is 27 versus... I mean, the big part of this is I'm getting a ton of minion levels. I can't de-level this further. Wait, 37% more slowly. Can I get a lower level one? I don't think so, right? Needs level 13. Okay, so it's so it's like double. So it would go to 9-ish seconds maybe. They might have killed Decompose. Where did the screen go? Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's doing this. Hey, how's it going, Pugs? Okay, so yeah, I was messing around with Sacrifice to see what that actually looks like. So, a level 14 right now. This one's level 14, and this is 37% more. This goes from just above 7 to basically 7. Right, so now it's on the higher side of 7. So it'll probably go to like 9%. I don't know, it added a full second for effectively what, 28% to 27%. Oh no, it is like 10%. So, yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Seismic Cry no longer has increased Warcry speed. Shard Scavenger now instantly reloads crossbow on consuming freeze, shock ignite, or fully broken armor. Shattering Concoction now has more freeze buildup. Shattering Palm Explosions now have additional random delay. Shards of Ice now cannot be applied to targets if the Shattering Palm damaging strike broke an existing ice shard on them. Shield Wall segment life. Past gem level 20 now matches ice crystals. This is a total reduction in life. Explosion radius is now 4 meters, previously 3. Shock chain arrows can now chain up to 8 meters away, previously 4. Siphoning strike shockwave radius is 2 meters from 1.8. Skeletal Arsonist explosive demise skill deals additional fire damage equal to 12% of minion life, previously 15. Now has a 2.4 meter explosion radius, previously 2. Skeletal Brute quality now causes brutes to inflict more stun buildup instead of having increased max life. Ouch. Skeletal Frost Mage Ice Bomb now has an 8% second cooldown, previously 6. Skeletal Reavers now correctly gain rage on hit while their command and rage skill is active. Skeletal Storm Mage chain count now scales up with their minion gem level, plus 4 chains at gem level 20, previously plus 2 at all. So we'll have more seconds to sacrifice again, like 7 to 9. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be more like 9 to 12 seconds for revive. It's a rough one. I don't love that. Skeletal Warrior can no longer be engraved in the gem cutting menu, as it was only provided as a stopgap until the functionality was implemented. Existing copies of Skeletal Warrior gem have been turned into Skeletal Sniper gems. Skeletal Warrior skill granted by some scepters now allows you to summon additional skeletons by reserving spirit, in addition to the 2 free skeletons it automatically grants. Not sure how I feel about that, but sure. Snipe attack speed, multiplier, and mana cost have been adjusted so that the attack time matches the time until a perfect strike. This is mainly to improve descriptions, and the function of the skill is unchanged. Stormwave now has 100% more chance to shock. Soul Offering now grants 56 to 77 increased spell damage at gem levels 13 to 20 rather than 32 to 39. Or Spark now fires 4 to 9 projectiles and no longer has increased projectile speed. Previously 6 to 14. So a lot less projectiles, and now provides increased projectile speed instead of more projectiles. So way less projectiles. Spiral Volley now has 30% more damage per frenzy charge consumed. Previously 30%. Spiral Volley is going to be really good. Thunder now has +1 total to attack time, previously 1.4, and mana has been adjusted. Still don't love flat attack time increases. Stampede quality now provides 20% chance to cause an aftershock. Okay. Storm Blast bolts no longer have 30% less reload speed. Stormcaller Arrow bolts have more chance to shock. Tempest Bell's Impact now deals attack damage and requires 10 combo to use, previously 4. Ouch. So slightly more damage at higher levels, requires 10 combo as opposed to 4. The bell is destroyed after 10 hits at all gem levels, previously 10 to 19. Now causes the bell to be destroyed after +2 hits, previously +6. Okay. So bell survived mostly. Like, it's not as good as it was, but it's still good. Tempest Bell Shockwave no longer deals 30% more damage per elemental element affecting the bell, or 60% of physical converted to corresponding damage type. Instead, it now gains 30% of physical damage as extra damage of each type, matching and now deals 60 to 132 of attack damage, previously 96 to 211. Okay, so it did get... Okay, so the impact is fine. The shockwave got nerfed pretty significantly. I think it's still going to be really good. Tempest Spell can now only trigger... Ooh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts so much. Tempest Bell can now only trigger a shockwave every 250 milliseconds. This is a strict limit, not a cooldown. As such, it cannot be modified by cooldown recovery modifiers. So, I don't know that this is going to matter while leveling, but I think at the high end, this is going to matter a lot. Because that means 4 hits per second. And early on, you're probably not going to hit that, but later you're definitely going to hit that limit. Tempest Bell's limit on number of bells placed is now shared between different spell copies, different copies of the skill. Yep. On-kill effects of Herald skills can no longer trigger from kills caused by Herald skills. Okay, Herald chaining is gone. Tornado Shot's splitting effect now applies to thrown spears. Toxic growth now requires more stored poison to reach maximum radius and damage, and more stored poison to expire faster. Pustule duration time is now 15 seconds, previously 6. Stored poison now adds up to 1.5 meters to base radius explosion, previously 1. Now fires 6 arrows, previously 8. Quality now provides plus arrows and plus pustules, previously plus 3 projectiles, and now has a limit of 6 pustules. Ooh. Unearth's bone construct duration now has 15 seconds, previously 12 seconds. Quality provides more seconds to bone construct. Okay. Vaulting impact now has 54 to 88% more stun buildup. Okay. Vine arrow now has a limit of 1 plant but can be increased to 2 with overabundance. Vine it now has a plant duration of 8 seconds, previously 6 seconds. Alright, Volcanic Fissure now has a limit of 8 Volcanic Fissure now has a limit of 8 concurrent fissures in the ground, and the aftershocks no longer erupt after the fissures. Voltaic Grenade cooldown is now 6 seconds, previously 3, and has an explosion radius of 2 to 2.4 meters at gem level 1 to 20, previously 1.8 to 2.4. Now has a detonation time of 2.5, previously 1.2. I'm here. Thank you for the stream, Joe. Have a great day. Have fun soon. Yeah, you too. Thanks for joining. Enjoy your rest. Wave of Frost now has 390 to 588, 585 more freeze build up at gem levels 7 to 20. Wind Dancer now grants 10% more evasion per stage at all gem levels, previously 15 to 19, and gains a stage every 1.4 to 1.12. Previously 1.5 to 1.3. Gale Force now deals more attack damage. Wait, is it more? No, it's less. No, it's more. And now uses the critical hit chance of your main hit weapon instead of having a baseline 5% critical hit chance. Wind Dance's stages are now consumed on being hit by an enemy instead of from a melee attack. Wind Dancer's stage gain timer is no longer interrupted when you are hit. Quality now provides explosion radius. I kind of hate that this is still limited to martial weapons. Like, I think they should at least make an evasion spirit gem for non-weapon users. Withering Presence, wither duration is 6 seconds, previously 4, and now withers enemies in your presence every 1.7 to 1.42. Previously, okay, so Withering Presence is buffed, but not enough to make it matter. Because that's still an average of, what, 5 withers max? Skills with expanding ground effects were unintentionally scaling radius over time instead of area of effect. They still scale the radius, though we've updated the descriptions and lowered the values on many of the affected skills. Poison Cloud on Gauss Arrow, Gas Grenade, and Decompose now gain 20% more radius per second up to a maximum of 80, previously 50% up to a maximum of 200. Poison Cloud from Skeletal Sniper now gains 20% more radius per second up to a maximum of 80%, previously 40%, maximum of 200. There's a whole lot of Decompose nerfs. Chilled Ground from Frozen Locust now gains 30% more radius per second up to a maximum of 150, from 40 to a maximum of 240. Okay, Chilled Ground from Frozen Locust is nerfed. Discipline and Purity auras granted by some scepters now applied to the player wielding the scepter as well as their allies. Huge. Huge. Love that. The spread of grenade skills, more than one projectile, such as Scattershot support, has been reduced by 40% except for Cluster Grenade. Releasing Rage Shield immediately after blocking skill now performs a shield bash that damages and stuns enemies in front of you, and also dazes them if you are using a tower shield. Added a new gem tag, conditional. This type denotes a skill which cannot be used unless a given condition is met. Combo is one of these. Modifiers, adding or subtracting to the value. Adding or subtracting a value to a cost of a skill now applied before cost multipliers from supports. Modifiers adding or subtracting a value to a total cost of a skill are unchanged. These still apply after all other modifiers. Okay. Support changes. Whew. We're only like halfway through. Astral projection now causes supported skills to have 25% less area of effect. Previously 35. Brutality now causes supported skills to deal 25% more physical damage. Previously 35. Burning inscription now has a 110% cost multiplier. Previously 100. Ow. Cannibalism now provides 2% of life recovered on kill while a supported skill is active. Previously 4%. Capacitor now has 130% cost multiplier, previously 100. Close combat now has 120%, previously 140. Considered casting now has 115, previously 100. Controlled destruction and extraction supports now correctly are not socketable into skills which had a secondary damaging hit, but no spell damage hits. These supports were never scaling the damage of these skills and were just incorrectly socketable. Crescendo now has a 120% cost multiplier, previously 100. Culmination causes supported skills to deal 3% more damage per combo, previously 2%. You now lose a combo if you generate no combo for 4 seconds. Exploit weakness now causes supported skills to consume enemy fully broken armor to deal 40% more damage, previously 50%. Feeding Frenzy and Meat Shield can no longer support minions which are undamageable. Fear? No, that was Liquid Death. Yeah, I got some Liquid Death green tea. As reading this is doing damage on my voice. Fist of War now has a cost multiplier of 150, previously 140. Hourglass now causes supported skills to deal 30% more damage, previously 40. Impact Shockwave now causes supported skills to cause an aftershock when they hit a heavy stun. When they heavy stun an enemy, dealing the same damage to enemies within 1.8 meters, previously 2 meters. Impetuous has a 15% cost multiplier. Lockdown now has a cost multiplier of 100. Magnified Effect has a 130% cost multiplier. It causes supported skills to have 30% more area of effect, previously 40. Mana Flare now has a flare radius of 2 meters, previously 1.6, and now consumes 25% of current mana to deal that much fire damage, previously 20%. I don't know. I feel like I want Mana Flare to be good, but I don't think it's going to be. Meat Shield support now grants minions from supported skills take 35% less damage instead of granting them 50% more maximum life. Ooh. My day is ruined and my disappointment is immeasurable. Same. Which part of the day has ruined... which part of the patch notes has ruined your day? Or is it that I am drinking Liquid Death green tea and not a beer? Mobility support now has less movement speed penalty while using supported skills, previously 30%. Neural Overload now has a cost multiplier of 100%. Overcharge now only increases the magnitude of shocks from hits. All of the patch notes. Yeah, they're a little rough. Grim Feast and Minion Nurse, yeah. Yep. I'm not shocked that it's a nerf fest. I'm a little shocked at how heavy Decompose and Corpse Wade got hit, because they got hit hard. They got hit really, really hard. Okay, overcharge support now only increases the magnitude of the shock from hits. Potential now causes supported skills to have 40% more chance to critically hit. Consuming power charges. Scatter shot now is 35% less damage from 20. Shock siphon can no longer be engraved in the skill. Whoa, shock siphon. Existing copies of the support will still function. What does shock siphon do? Shock Siphon. Recover 4% energy shield when a supported skill deals a killing blow to a shocked enemy. Okay. Not that big a deal. I'm gonna make one just to have it. Alright. Back to the notes. Relic with support can no longer support triggered skills. Ow. Rude. Spiral Volley now fires directly forward with the first arrow instead of the final arrow. Strip Away now causes exposure applied by supported skills to have 20% increased effect. Unbreakable now has a different stun threshold multiplier values for incoming light stuns as opposed to incoming heavy stuns. Window of Opportunity now causes support skills to deal more damage when released with perfect timing. Previously 50. And have a shorter window. Chronomancer is unusable now. Yeah, Chronomancer is rough. It remains to be seen how good Unleash is, but I don't see it being good enough. Withering Touch now has a chance to apply Withered based on the amount of chaos damage dealt by the hit from always applying a single stack. Now, oof. Ow. That hurts. And they really came after Chaos DoT. Okay. Against the Darkness unique jewel. Has a medium radius, previously large. Change does not affect existing items, modifiers. That caused notable passives also grant 2 to 4% specific attributes now have values of 2 to 3. Existing items can be made worse with a div. Didn't even seem like it was used all that much, and they attacked it for sure. Yeah. I don't know what to play now. I don't know if I want to play this update. So here's what I'm gonna do, because I was gonna play Lich for a while. But after all of the chaos changes, I think I might go Smith of Katava, and here's why, right? So, let me pull up. Let's see. Where is Smith of Katava? So we already know that Mjolnir is coming in this league. And so the plan that I have currently as my backup is going to be Smith of Katava Mjolnir. Okay, so Smith of Katava has fire spell on hit, right? So planning on doing a Heat of the Forge, something on hit. We have no idea if this is going to be any good, but we do know already that it's going to work similarly to the way Mjolnir works, which we also don't know if it's going to be any good. So I was going to go that, and then either go Forged in Flame, like Holster or Forged in Flame, but I will probably do like Heat of the Forge, Smith's Masterwork, and just do like a bunch of these, and then later on change to Coal Stoker and Forged in Flame. But yeah, so that is what I'm currently thinking. And then we'll go Mjolnir, which has a very similar lightning spell on hit. And then maybe we go, if I remember correctly, there's a couple unique items that convert damage. So we could do Painter's Servant, which is convert all of my elemental damage into triple damage. So we go a generic damage. Could go lightning converted to cold and go fire cold build. We could go fire converted to cold here and lightning converted to cold here. But then that is 2 unique items, which could be good. And go a secret cold build. Or we go Painter's Servant and go secret try element build. Now what spells we use, I have no clue. Like maybe, depending on if we can, we dual wield Mjolnir and then have the class fire spell on hit. Might be good. It should be fun, if nothing else. But that is currently my thoughts. Back to the Nerf Fest. Alright, against the Darkness unique, no longer costs a small passive to grant 1% increase maximum life or increase maximum mana. Instead, they now cause small passives to grant flat maximum life or flat maximum mana. Okay. Astramentis now has 50 to 100 as opposed to 80 to 100. Existing versions can be made worse with a Divine Orb. That Serious Disdain unique helmet now has 10% of damage taken bypass, previously 20 to 25, and 60 to 100 mana, previously 40 to 60. Now has gained 10 to 15% max life as his maximum ES, previously 25 to 30. So this is mostly worse, basically. Fire of the Storm unique amulet once again triggers lightning bolts, previously greater lightning bolts. That's kind of a shame. Crown of the Victor unique helmet now grants rarity of items found. Dream Fragments now provides 10% increased maximum mana, previously 20%. A Divine Orb can be used on existing versions to obtain the new value. Why would you want the new value? Everlasting Gaze unique amulet now causes you to gain 4 to 6% of your maximum mana as maximum ES, previously 20 to 30. Ow. That is so bad. Eye of Chiuli unique amulet no longer provides the stun threshold and now provides cannot be light stunned. Way better. Fire Flower now grants 10 to 15% increased rarity of items, previously 10 to 20. Ghost Writhe now provides 25 maximum life converted to ES, previously 50. Existing versions can be updated. I don't know that I love this, but it might be okay. Hand of Wisdom in action unique gloves now add 1 to 10 lightning damage per 20 intelligence, previously 10, so they've been halved, and 1% attack speed per 20 dexterity, previously 3 per 25. Per attribute changes will change the the per attribute changes will affect existing items, while a Divine Orb can be used to obtain the remaining value changes. Okay, so the per is going to change no matter what. So current Hand of Wisdom and actions are going to be more valuable based on, yeah, the current Hand of Wisdom actions are going to be more valuable because they're going to be 1 to 10 for 20 and 3% for 20. So it's going to be way better on the attack speed. Change does not affect existing items. Ingenuity belt no longer has 40 to 80 increase bonus from equipped rings. Instead, it now has 30 to 50 from left ring and 30 to 50 from right ring. Existing versions are unaffected by these changes. That's a hard nerf. That's a really hard nerf. Last Flame unique relic now has damage taken cannot be absorbed. Absorption effects include guard encased in jade, sorcery ward. Existing items are unaffected. Alcohol's Machination unique shield now has 100% increased effect of socketed soul cores from 333 to 666. And now has the additional property of everlasting sacrifice. What does that do? Don't know. Okay. The Melting Maelstrom unique flask no longer has the property to recover all mana when used. This change does not affect the existing version of the item. Ouch. Moria Invictus body armor now generates with 3 random modifiers, previously 2. Okay, so Moria Invictus is better, I think. Following random modifiers can no longer roll. Ooh, wait. Increase per socketed rune or soul core, so you can't do rarity, you can't do percent life, and you can't do mana or attributes. Ouch. Following random modifiers have been adjusted. 6 to 10. Previously 10, 6 to 10, previously 10, 5 to 7, previously 10, 7 new random per socketed rune core modifiers. So we won't know until we get there and see what the new modifiers are. Oaksworn unique shield no longer provides 50 to spirit, but now provides 50% increased life regeneration rate. Pillar of the Caged God unique quarterstaff now provides 1% increased attack speed per 10 dex, 1% per 10 int, previously 2% for both, and now provides 10% increased weapon damage per 10 strength. It used to be 10 per 5, so basically it's half as good. I don't agree with this change. I think they hit attribute stacking way too hard. Because I think Pillar of the Caged God on its own was powerful, but not OP. Like I think they went a little harder than they needed to. Queen of the Forest unique body armor now grants 1% unique or 1% movement speed per 800 evasion, previously 500. Existing versions can be updated with a divine orb. Modifier can no longer scale with modifier effect such as corruption. This change does not apply to existing versions of the item. Okay, Queen of the Forest got a slight nerf. Sandstorm Visage unique helmet now causes enemies in your presence to gain critical weakness once per second for 15 seconds. Previously 1 second. Existing items can be updated with a divine orb, so Sandstorm Visage is significantly better. Temporalis unique body armor now causes skills to have -2 to -1 seconds, previously -4 to -2. Existing versions can be updated, but why would you? Unique Mace, Trench Timber, now grants 1 to 2 minion skill levels as opposed to 1 to 3. Vindor's Gamble grants -25 to 25 increased rarity of items, previously 40 to 40. Updated the description of Gravebind unique gloves to modifier to correctly state that the enemy must be in your presence, not the ally. Updated the text of Solus Ipse unique helmet and the Gemling Legionnaire's gem-studded ascendancy passive to reflect the fact that they stack with each other. This is not a functional change. Oh, interesting. I didn't know they stacked. Good. Corrected the wording on the Black Scythe training, circular teachings, and knightly attendants timeless jewel keystones, so they no longer correctly imply the alternate bonus They grant our inherent bonuses of those attributes. That's really good. I thought they were inherent. Time loss jewel modifiers that grant notable passive skills. Increase the magnitude of damaging ailments. Now grant 5 to 10, previously 10 to 20. They really came after poison, didn't they? Faster damage from ailments now grants 2 to 3, previously 3 to 7. Fixed a bugware quality on scepters is multiplied to the amount of spirit they granted instead of granting quality to their inherent skill. Yeah. It's gonna be a rough one for minion players. I think they're still gonna be powerful, but might be a rough one. I'm not a minion player, so I don't know for sure, but seems rough. If Spectre builds, no, Spectres are gonna be fine. Spectres are gonna be like minion players are absolutely going to find ridiculously overpowered builds. I have no doubts. Spectres are going to be nuts. It's just going to be all about finding the ones that work. Spectres need spirit. I mean, yeah, but so Spectres need spirit, but there are how many 100 Spectres? Surely they're going to find one that's broken. Without staff? No, you can. So you can get the staff, you can get regular scepters, and then you got new uniques. We don't know what all those uniques do. And the spirit still applies to Moria Invictus, which now has 3 random modifiers, so the likelihood of you getting spirit per soul core is much higher on Moria Invictus. Don't get me wrong, I hear you, spirit got hit and minions are getting hit, but I think with Spectres it's gonna be fine. We have to see. That's the crazy thing about patch notes, is even with patch notes, we still need to like get in game and test things. Let's see. Energy generation now grants 4 to 12. Warcry buff effect can no longer be obtained. Now correctly match. Alright, item changes. Actually, I'm only like 3/4, or no, not even 3/4. I'm like 2/3 of the way through. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick break and go use the restroom, and we'll be right back and we'll continue the patch notes. So I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Back. No, that's the wrong one. There we go. Okay. Item changes. Jeweler's Orb now. That skill gem. Now set a skill gem to have a specified number of support gem sockets rather than adding support gem sockets to skill gems with a specific number. For example, you can now use a perfect jeweler's on a skill gem with 2 supports and have it have 5 support gem sockets. Advanced and expert item base types now have distinctive names. Runes have 3 tiers. Doubled the drop rate of runes. I don't feel like this is just gonna like maybe this is good. I don't know. No longer reforge 3 runes to obtain a random rune in return. Using a Valor Orb on an item will no longer cause fire with a value of 1 to be reduced to 0. Damage of all crossbows has been increased. Crossbows now have the 2-handed version of added damage modifiers instead of the 1-handed versions they were using. Physical thorn damage on rare item modifiers has been buffed by 3.5 times for the highest tier modifier, scaling down to unchanged for the lowest tier. The rarity of items found modifiers on items has been lowered on the top end. Suffix modifiers now go up to 25% at the highest tier, previously 30%, while the prefix modifier goes up to 25% at the highest tier, previously 32%. Golden Charm now grants 15% increase as opposed to 20%. Breach rings now have an implicit modifier of maximum quality is 40%, previously 50%. Existing items can be updated using a Divine Orb. The chance for breach rings to drop has been greatly reduced. Don't love that, but okay. Notable passive skills in the starting areas of each class can no longer be instilled or found on unique items like Megalomaniac. This does not fix existing items where instilled notables in the Sorceress/Witch starting area could display incorrectly on the item due to the notables being different on the Witch compared to the Sorceress and other classes. Added new jewel modifiers that provide similar benefits to the new passive skills added to the passive skill tree, such as the companions have increased maximum life. We need to take a look at companions to see if they count as minions. I'm not sure whether or not sacrifice is going to work with companions. We'll have to check. Jewel and time lost jewel modifiers that provided stats scarcely located on the passive skill tree, such as increased blind effect, damage taken, recouped his life, have been adjusted. Generally speaking, the minimum range has stayed the same, but the maximum value is lower than before. Increased effective auras from your aura skills no longer roll on jewels or time lost jewels. The fletching jewel and the time loss modifiers that provided increased bonuses from equipped quiver now have values of 4 to 6 and 2 to 3 respectively, from 5 to 15 to 3 to 7. Jewel modifier that grants increased energy generation now grants 2 to 6, previously 3 to 7. Existing items can be rerolled with a Divine Orb. The Soul Core of Azkapa has 15% increased quantity of gold dropped by slain enemies, previously 10% increased rarity of items found. Wow. So they removed this one from the game. Corruption modifiers on jewels provide plus 5 to 10% of a specific attribute. Now have 4 to 6. Okay. Corrupted modifiers on helmets and rings that provide 1 to 2% of life regenerated per second can no longer roll. Ow. It has been replaced with a new corrupted modifier that provides increased life regeneration rate. Why is life regen so difficult to get? Scepters can now roll up to +4 levels of minions, previously +5. Existing items are unaffected. Scepters can now only roll up to 80% increased presence area of effect, previously 30. Okay, so we can have a bigger presence, good. Amulet modifiers that provide 5 to 6, 7 to 8, or 9 to 10 increased maximum mana now have values 3 to 4, 5 to 6, and 7 to 8. Slightly lower top end, okay. Belts, gloves, boots can now only roll up to 105 to 124 maximum mana. Helmets can now only roll up to 125 to 149 max mana. Wands, scepters, staves, and foci can now only roll up to 150 to 164 maximum mana. And rings can now only roll up to 165 to 179 maximum mana. So mana got nerfed everywhere. Debuffs you inflict have increased magnitude of slows, corrupted modifier, and gloves can no longer roll. The first 2 tiers of added elemental damage modifiers on weapons have had their values lowered. The added lightning damage modifiers on weapons have had their values slightly lowered. The relic modifier that causes the merchant to have additional options now only grants a single additional option, previously 2 to 3. Existing items can be ruined using a divine orb. Monster changes. Alright, what else do we have here? Quest, UI, microtransaction. Oh, many bug fixes. Alright. We got through the item changes. Good stuff. Monster changes. I just thought of something. This works, I think. I don't know how to get the last 25%, but that seems really good. We might be going Avatar Fire. Okay, back to this. Bosses that need to perform certain actions to progress their fight will now become immune to damage if their life is brought significantly past the point at which the action should be used. I hate that. This should have no noticeable effect to most players, but will prevent cases where bosses could get semi-permanently crowd controlled and prevent the fight from progressing. Armor on all monsters has been reduced by 30%. Soul Eaters on monsters now grant 1% skill speed and 1% less damage taken per stack, previously 5 and 2. Okay, so Soul Eaters less egregious. And now stacks to a maximum of 50, previously 45. So much less egregious. Line of the following pinnacle bosses has been adjusted. Olroth, Zesht, We That Are One, King of the Mist, Arbiter of Ash, difficulty 0 now have roughly half max life as before, scaling back up to unchanged at difficulty 4. The life of the Trial Master has been reduced. The following bosses no longer have armor penetration. Olroth, Zesht, King of the Mist, and Arbiter of Ash. Lowered the damage conversion on other elements for some skills. Arbiter of Ash now has tapering, less damage taken debuff for the correct amount of time. Arbiter of Ash now deals increased damage with a select few abilities. That's great, he needed more damage. Scourge of the Skies now deals increased damage with its vomit abilities. Why? The Chimera deals increased damage with its Leap Slam. Trial Master deals increased damage with his channeled Blood Slam. Frozen Spring now deals increased damage with their multi-slam skill. The Stoneclad Gorillas now deal reduced damage with their Leap Slams, good. Mighty Silver Fist Dodge Roll now deals reduced damage, good. Olroth deals damage increased with his dash skills. I don't think I ever fought Olroth. Gar the Sand Mother now deals less damage with their Poison Spray. Wrathbreaker now has resistance to cold and vulnerability to fire. Okay. Lowered the damage of It that hates chaos quicksand skill. Count Leonor's 180-degree swipe attack can no longer be blocked. Monsters now have a higher light stun damage scaling with level. In the very early parts of the campaign, there is no change, scaling to around twice as much light stun damage in the end game. Lowered the maximum number of monsters that can be alive at once in ritual encounters, particularly earlier in the game. Lowered maximum number. Electrocute now builds up roughly 44% slower on non-players. Pin now builds up roughly 58% slower on non-players. Magic enemies who are primed for stun when they leave, when they have at least 50% heavy stun buildup, rare at 60% and unique at 70%. Magic enemies are now primed for electrocution when they have at least 50% electrocution buildup, 60% and 70% respectively. Destructible pillars at the Chimera's arena have had their life increased. Added a series of enhanced rare monster modifiers that are more powerful than the standard versions and more rewarding. Okay. Some rare monster modifiers now scale at later levels, providing better rewards. Okay. No longer targets non-players with his rewind skill. This ritual monster now correctly deals damage and their damage behavior has been adjusted. Bloated Miller's charge now pushes the players sideways instead of carrying them along. Bloated Miller's shared charge can no longer be blocked. Lethal rare monster now grants rare monster an additional modifier. Rare monsters minions have been made stronger defensively and now scale far more appropriately in party play. Powerful minion modifiers have been reduced in power to compensate for the above. Guaranteed magic modifiers near the exit of the Dreadnought will no longer respawn when you respawn at checkpoint if you have killed them. Various fungal themed monsters now have resistance to cold and vulnerability to fire. Slightly reduce the damage dealt and number of projectiles fired by Bach the Skyseer's Feather Spray skills. Iron Enforcers no longer use the Tentacle Grab skill. Pump Map Boss has been renamed from the Eater of Children to Baraka the Withered Crone. He still eats children. Okay. Patrolling monsters can no longer be imprisoned in essences. Incrementally improved monster behavior. Quest changes. You now must open the Halani gates before you can advance the Sent to Power quest line to the point of being able to travel to the Trial of the Sekimas. Okay. So you're being forced to wait a little longer for the trial. I don't love that, but okay. The Earning Passage quest now ends on entering the Ardura Cavern in Act 2 rather than after speaking to Zakra in the Vistiri outskirts. User interface changes. Added the ability to spectate. Added the ability to pan minimap using a controller. Hovering over instance of the presence keyword will now show an indicator around your character to visualize presence radius. This is awesome. Hovering over a skill in your skill bar now displays a shortened description of the skill's behavior with a button prompt to open the skill information panel. The instilling menu can no longer be closed if you had an item placed within it. Ritual rewards menu now pauses the game. Item filter gem level filtering now applies to uncut gems. When leveling up gems, changes are now highlighted more obviously. Improved visibility and readability of text and icons under monster life bars. Made a number of improvements to stats displayed on character panel and skill information panels. For example, the character panel now displays your modified energy shield recharge delay and ailment thresholds, and skill panels now show more detailed ailment and hit chance information among other changes. A HUD icon is now displayed if you are using a controller and have turned off item labels. Improved many cases in couch co-op where the second player could not interact with mechanics or UI elements. Relics can now be quick moved on the relic altar when using a controller. Added functionality to set targeting mode per skill using a controller. Improved UI panel behavior in couch co-op. When using a controller, picking up items will no longer fail due to skills in progress. Added an optional bindable action when using a controller that allows the player to cycle through socketed crossbow ammo, ignoring skills that are disabled in the current weapon set. Added an optional bindable action when using a controller that reloads your current crossbow ammo type. While using a controller, quick swapping an equipped weapon will now place any support gems targeted in the skill granted by the old weapon in your inventory. When using a controller, detonating arrow freezing salvo will now target enemies if not manually aimed. Redesigned the cosmetics of equipment interface. Okay, you can now open the chat while in the cosmetics panel, so you can flex your pilfering ring in global. Okay. Enable the following existing armor microtransactions: deep water, misery, pandemonium. Added the following finisher effects: chaos rare, plummeting exalted, plummeting mirror, plummeting vow, and divine artillery strike. Enabled the following existing portal microtransactions: primordial deep, nullifier, and incinerator. Enabled the following pet microtransactions, a bunch of them, and enabled the existing skin transfer. Enabled existing item display case in hideouts. Okay, on to bug fixes, and we're very close to the end. Fixed a bug where skills that allow movement during their actions wouldn't apply their slow at full effect if used with higher values of attack and cast speed and not held down. Fixed a bug where you could unreserve and reserve minions to resummon them instantly while they were in the process of resummoning. Fixed a bug where canceling a skill in the Infernalist Pyromaniac Pact of the Ascendancy passive skill would cause the player to gain Infernal Flame. Fixed a bug where Wind Dancer stages could be capped after weapon swapping to a weapon set that did not have Wind Dancer activated. Fixed an issue where some triggered skills were able to generate energy, such as Burning Inscription. Well, there goes that. Fixed a bug that would cause Shattering Palm's ice shards to occasionally fail to explode. Fixed a bug where ignited ground caused by Incinerate was not dealing damage correctly compared to other sources of ignited ground. Fixed a bug that would cause support gems applying the persistent buff skills to apply twice. Fixed a bug where Sunder's aftershocks could hit too many enemies too many times. Fixed a bug where Tremor support could interfere with aftershock chances from other sources. Fixed a bug where Resonating Shield recovered stagger much faster than the inherent Ray Shield skill. Fixed a bug where Blink could be used to travel through walls. Fixed a bug where the effects that consume shocks could only consume a single shock at once. If the target has multiple active shocks, they now consume and benefit from all of them. Fixed a bug where more projectile damage after piercing an enemy stat granted by quality on high velocity rounds did not function. Fixed a bug that would cause shield based attacks to not deal damage. Fixed some wonkiness with skills that could occur when using flasks, such as Plague Bearer, Poison Nova, Axe being cleared. Fixed a bug preventing ferocity support from functioning properly. Fixed a bug where skeletons impaled on offerings could sometimes use skills if commanded to do so. Fixed a bug that caused emergency reload to empower fewer attacks than intended. Fixed a bug where second wind support and demon form, where the additional cooldown would still tick while in demon form. Fixed a rounding issue that could cause skills used by the Infernalist to sometimes fail to generate Infernal Flame. Fixed a bug that caused lingering illusion to stop functioning when supported by specific support gems if you had very little unreserved spirit. Fixed a bug where Stomping Ground support would not function if you had a wand or scepter equipped. Fixed a bug where spell-related support gems could not support skeletal arsonists. Fixed a bug where long fuse support did not prevent grenades from being detonated. Fixed a bug where crossbow shot would consume more than one bolt when firing more than one projectile. Fixed a bug where Eye of Winter was passing over multiple ailment ground effects and only got extra damage from the recent one rather than all of them. So Eye of Winter bug fix means Eye of Winter buff. Fixed a bug where collapsing horizon unique quarterstaff was providing its elemental gem level bonus multiple times to skills with more than one element type. Speaking of more than one element type, Eye of Winter. Skill projectile cold. Okay, I just needed to know. Fixed a bug where shield charge is not correctly interacting with active block mechanics. Fixed a bug where the damage gained as extra elemental damage on detonating arrow was applied the same as non-skill sources of damage conversion gain instead of before them. Okay. Fixed a bug where the cast on block skill granted by the Svalin unique shield was granting the wrong amount of energy. It now grants 25 base energy on block, previously displayed at 250, but actually granting 2.5. Ooh. That's rough. Okay, so it now grants 25. It said it was supposed to be 250, but it was actually 2.5. Okay. I still don't think it's going to be... maybe it will be used. Who knows? Fixed a bug where Vile Effusion skill used by Dark Effigy was not correctly scaling with area damage. Fixed a bug where a skill cooldown could stop when under the effects of multiple sources of reduced cooldown recovery rate. Fixed a bug where a damage bonus provided by fresh clip support was shared between skills and weapon sets. Fixed a bug that could cause Mana Tempest to stop draining the player's mana. Fixed a bug where Shockwave, triggered by striking Tempest Bell, was not correctly scaling with knockback. Fixed a bug where Thorns was not causing stun, freeze, electrocute, pin, armor break, daze, or knockback. Fixed a bug where Profane Ritual did not work with Hinder or Chaotic Freeze supports. Fixed a bug where Fiery Death's Explosion was not considered as a triggered skill and therefore could be supported by some supports that don't apply to triggered skills. Fixed a bug where more poisons than should be active could damage the same target when the poisons had different limits. Fixed a bug where projectiles that cannot chain, such as Lightning Arrow, were chaining off of terrain. Fixed a bug where Mark could deal offhand hits when dual wielding, causing 0 damage because they don't have offhand damage stats. Fixed a bug causing various aftershock related stats that were intended to apply specifically to your skills also to apply to totems. Fixed a bug where that could occur if using Iron Grip and Iron Will in combination with the effect to allowing spell damage increases to apply to attacks. The bug where Impact Shockwave was not scaling with area modifiers. Fixed a bug where aftershocks caused by slam skills you use with maces through Split the Earth notable passives were not scaling with area modifiers. Fixed a bug where Shattering Palm Ice Shards could fail to deal damage to when weapon swapping. Fixed a bug where sources of less damage or more maximum physical damage, such as Heft Support or Rislatha's Coil, were not working properly due to damage conversions. Fixed a bug where the benefits of Heft Support were applying twice to minions. Fixed a bug where meta skills were not correctly counting energy cost for subsequent skills. If a skill that consumed a corpse was socketed in the first sequence. Fixed a bug where some modifiers affected by Delirium Splinters, such as Distilled Despair, or the I Am Not Afraid of You notable Atlas passive was not working correctly. Fixed a bug where Seismic Cry and other delayed cooldown skills could consume 2 cooldown charges when supported by Second Wind. Fixed a bug where Gathering Storm was not affected by ground duration modifiers. Fixed a bug where Lord of the Pit boss was not being affected by the map boss difficulty modifiers. Fixed a bug where Corrosion support caused all poisons present on the target to apply armor break based on their magnitude, not just on those actually applying damage to the target. Fixed a bug where the fire exposure on fully breaking armor from Wilm's Stake unique mace would not always apply consistently. Fixed a bug where some modifiers to armor break amount did not apply correctly to armor break caused by stunning enemies. Fixed a bug where conditional effects that blocked ailments to target didn't count electrocute. Fixed a bug where crossbow reload speed was not being affected by local attack speed modifiers on the crossbow itself. Fixed a bug that caused demon form's concurrent cooldown time to not be displayed. Fixed a bug where using demon form could kill your minions rather when using controller. Fixed a bug where soul rend projectiles were unable to debuff targets after passing through chests. Fixed a bug which would incorrectly limit when you could use life flasks with eternal youth. Fixed an issue where ghost dance quality was incorrect. Fixed a bug where volcanic fissure could fail to create fissures when targeting locations very close to the player. Fixed a bug where offering skills could target the wrong skeleton. Fixed a bug where shockwave totems supported by astral projection would prioritize targets in a specific direction from the totem. Fixed a bug where ballistae could target inanimate objects. Fixed an issue where swapping to a new ammo type when using a controller could fail due to other actions interrupting change. Fixed a bug where some stats on Gale Force skill triggered Wind Dancer when not being displayed. Fixed a bug where toxic growth poison on hit was not being described. Fixed a bug where a maximum number of active lightning rods was not being displayed on the gem, only on the skill information panel. Fixed a bug where Raging Spirits skill could not display the duration of the spirits. Fixed a bug where Ballistae and Ancestral Warrior Totem could not display the weapon's base crit chances. Fixed a bug where some sources of aftershock chance were not being displayed in the skill information panel. Fixed a bug where the visual effect of Stomping Ground support lingered around after the damage was being dealt. Fixed a bug where Gathering Storm erroneously had the strike tag. Fixed a bug where Cold Snap's area of effect did not display a visual effect. I actually really like this, because this was hard to see. Fixed a bug where Comet's impact radius was not displayed. Fixed a bug where Frostwall did not display its length on the gem or skill information. Fixed a bug where Martial Tempo was not able to support triggered skills, or was able to support triggered skills. Fixed a bug where Ghost Dance did not display the maximum number of Ghost Shrouds you could have on the gem. Fixed a bug where the Holy Descent and Shocking Leap support gems would not enable area, duration, or ground effect related support gems to support their skill. Fixed a bug where the benefit provided by the quality on Combat Frenzy was missing a description. This is not a functional change, the benefit was previously applying, just not described. Fixed some issues relating to the endgame Atlas generation. Fixed a bug where the reduced resistances to trials of chaos modifiers were incorrectly granting maximum elemental resistance instead of lowering them. Fixed a bug where the Arbiter of Ash fight could be paused in some situations. Fixed a bug where the High Priest of the Sun could get out of sync when slowed, could immediately face the player while using their laser skill if they were knocked back. Fixed a case where players could get out of bounds during the High Priest of the Sun fight. Fixed a case where Arbiter of Ash were using their Flame Drop Beam Slam combo and certain parts of the skill could cause overlap. Hopefully that will make the fight less annoying. Fixed a bug where the swords thrown by Kosis the Revelation could fail to return to him. Fixed a bug where Kosis would stop taking actions. Fixed a bug where the Sekima could sometimes fail to put up her Sandstorm shield when fighting Yamanra. Fixed a bug where the Sky Seer could start zooming around on the outer edge of the arena. Fixed a bug where the Winter's Crackle wouldn't fire any projectiles when using her Ice Spike Barrage skill. Fixed a bug where the boss arena in the Val Foundry map did not have an exit available upon defeating the boss. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Fixed a bug where you were unable to open a portal in the Summit Map boss arena after killing the boss. Fixed a bug where the entrance of the Grimhaven map boss room could fail to activate. Fixed a bug where Quake Golems in the Trials of Sekimas could sometimes be immune to damage. Fixed a bug where the Lightning Lance skill used by the Brutal Transcendent enemies could not be blocked or dodge rolled. Fixed a bug where some fireball traps in the Trial of Sekimas were terminating early on terrain. Fixed a bug where Delirium boss static life bars would appear before engaging the boss. Fixed a bug where the visual indicators of proximal tangibility monster modifiers were not functioning. Fixed an issue that caused monsters in the Agarat to not patrol as intended. Dire Tusk Board charge ability was unable to connect with the player, causing it to deal no damage. It will now deal damage correctly. Fixed a bug where some reward marker flags and expedition logbooks had the wrong icon on the flag. Magic and rare chests could not be found in the decay map. Burial bog maps could fail to contain extra content. Gain damage as extra chaos modifier on the Ming's Heart unique ring was not affected by Chiyula's catalyst. Oh, so this should work now. Nice. Fixed a bug where the Matsuya's unique staff skills reserve 50% less spirit modifier would not apply to totems when using Ancestral Bond. Fixed an issue where the critical damage per power charge modifier on the Power Tread unique boots is being described as base critical damage bonus instead of increased. It is purely a description change. Fixed a bug where spirit granted by the Moria Invictus unique body armor is still granted when you would not gain spirit from equipment, or when you could not gain spirit from equipment. Fixed a bug where Aztec Sight unique helmet did not cause critical hits with spells to inflict poison. Interesting. Fixed a bug where some auras granted by scepters did not update when presence radius changed, such as the Alpha's Hal unique. Fixed a damage bug where the benefits of electrocution, passive skill, enemies immobilized by you take 25% less damage modifier, could sometimes end prematurely. Fixed a bug where the Sacred Flame unique scepter applied to its enemies in your presence have resistance based on lowest resistance aura player instead apply to the player instead of enemies. Fixed a bug where you would take damage from Heartbound Loop unique ring when you unsocketed minion gems or minions expired. Fixed a bug where Falcon Dive notable passive was providing 1% increased attack speed per 150 accuracy rating instead of per 250 in your offhand. Fixed a bug where a number of passive skills that granted bonuses while wielding a staff were also functioning while wielding a quarterstaff. Most of these now only work with staves. However, increased defenses granted by one with the river notable passive skill now only granted while wielding a quarterstaff. Got it. Fixed a bug where the interaction of impending doom notable skills and the hex bloom support. Okay. Fixed a bug that affects the occur reaching maximum rage, not functioning correctly when you went from 0 rage to maximum rage in a single hit. Fixed a bug where the time lost jewel modifier was intended to grant notable passive skill increased effect, instead granted small passive increased effect. Existing items are unaffected. I think I like this more anyway, maybe? We'll have to see. Fixed a bug where modifiers to scepters did not stack. Multiple players within a party can now have the same scepter modifier and it will stack. This also fixes an issue where Learcast could not stack. Fixed a bug where glove corruption enchantment that causes enemies to drop increased gold did not function. Fixed a bug where quality on scepters multiplied the amount of spirit they granted instead of granting quality to their inherent skill. Simultaneously sad and totally expected. Fixed a bug where unhindered notable passive skills could not be instilled onto an amulet. Fixed a bug where greater essences cannot be used on items with other items socketed in them. Fixed an issue where two small passive skills leading to the repulsion notable were incorrectly granting spell skill increased area effect instead of area damage. Fixed a bug where the chance for trigger skills to refund half their energy spent description could disappear if the chance was over 100%. This was just a display issue. Fixed a bug where the Greed Shine buff was applied by an Avarice Shrine. In all instances, this should now be referred to as a Greed Shrine. Fixed a bug where saber spiders could attack while imprisoned in ice in an essence. Fixed a bug where characters could become stuck between a wall and sometimes indestructible pottery and the Lost City. Fixed a flickering bug that could sometimes occur using DirectX. Fixed a bug in the passive skill tree where jewels could sometimes be placed into different sockets than the one you clicked. Fixed a bug that would allow you to visually allocate more passive skills than you had points to spend. Fixed a bug with Struggle Scream unique amulet that could not where the Struggle Scream unique amulet could not be stored in the unique stash tab. Fixed a bug in the unique items where greater than equal to filter number of sockets was not working. Fixed a bug where the list of available public parties could fail to load if you logged directly into your hideout. Fixed a bug where increases in gem levels on global modifiers was not displaying correctly when socketed inside meta gems while using a controller input. Fixed a bug where Control-Alt-C did not include information on skills granted by items. Fixed a bug where the League migration options could disappear if you were using a controller. Fixed targeting issues with Incinerate and Bone Storm. Fixed some issues targeting corpses using a controller. Fixed where Trials of Sekima could not be accessed using couch co-op. Fixed a bug where couch co-op where two players were not able to place a jewel in a socket on their passive skill tree until one player had allocated a jewel socket. Until player 1 had allocated a jewel socket. Interesting bug. Fixed a bug where dialogue lines could be output to chat twice in couch co-op. Dialogue... This is good. I enjoy this. Fixed a bug preventing skipping cutscenes in some circumstances. Fixed a bug preventing cosmetics menu from displaying properly in hideouts. Fixed a bug where Wolfsbane unique shield 3D art was smaller than intended. Fixed 5 client crashes. Just missed the boat. The below features were showcased, but unfortunately not able to make it with a 0.20 patch. We will put these in as soon as they are ready. Ability to lock your main hand and offhand or both so that you can use the same item weapon sets with the different skill weapon sets. Okay. Wow, that was a lot. Okay, so let's refresh and see if there's any... Yep, change notes. Oh no. Okay, there's not that many. Overcharge now only increases the magnitude of shocks from hits. Overcharge no longer... overcharge support no longer causes supported skills to have less shock duration. It now only has shocks caused by supported skills are reflected back to you. Okay. The Ingenuity belt no longer has 40 to 80. What is it now? Ingenuity belt no longer has 40 to 80. Now has 20 to 30 from left ring and 20 to 30 from right ring. And now has charm slots. That's bad. That's so bad. 20 to 30. Ouch. Ingenuity is so bad now. Alright, modifiers to curse effect have been changed to instead apply to curse magnitude. Modifiers to curse effect have been changed to instead apply to curse magnitude. This means they are additive with other things. Okay. Alright. That's a lot. Control F. Decompose. So we got a 1/3 nerf there, a limit nerf there, which might not be the worst. It's not great, but it might be okay. This is really bad. This AoE hit is rough, I think. Yeah, so we got hit 3 times, aside from minion nerfs, which is substantial. So I don't know how I feel about Corpse Wade at the moment. I don't know. I do not know. So, let's think about how we want to approach Okay, lightning spell on melee hit, 200 intelligence requirement, 248 strength requirement, increased physical damage, +1 all lightning skills. It is a one-handed mace. Going a bit on the strength stack side. Where is I missed if there was added mana nodes on the tree. Chaos and Curse got mana cost are gonna cost like 1600 mana. All of the existing, so they didn't mention any new mana scaling nodes, but they did mention all of the existing ones and they're being reduced in effectiveness. So like, I want to say this one over here went from, wait, this one? Yeah, this one went from 4 to 3. And then like, this one became, where is the one I'm thinking about? This one I think went down. Yeah, mana got hurt. Blood magic, pain attunement, or fire. Don't need giant's blood, but I do want. Where is it at? I'm looking for the strength keystones. 'Do we not have Iron Will? I think it's Iron Will. One percent increased spell damage per 2% strength, provides no increase. Ooh. Only on a unique armor. Strength to apply to attack damage. I don't want a unique, honestly. 1% increased spell damage per 2 strength is really good though. Strength provides no life. That hurts. That might not be worth it. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, so probably not willing to do Iron Will, at least for now. I think I'm giving up on a witch start. I think with all the compounding nerfs, I'm really not sure about a witch start. It could be really good, but I don't know. I have concerns, you know? So, I think we're gonna start Smith of Katava. how do we want to do this? Big thing is I need to figure out what skills I actually want to mess around with. Detonate Dead. I don't think I actually want to use Detonate Dead though. Channeling. Physical Nova. Yeah, elemental basically. Pretty limited. So Ember Fusillade is the easy pick. Fireball is probably the most. And Firestorm is probably we can figure out limited. As far as lightning things, Warp. Ball lightning is the only other one I can think of that I would actually want to do. I think maybe lightning warp fireball could be interesting. Maybe. It's kind of a shame that Eye of Winter doesn't have more tags on it. I would love to use Lightning Conduit, but it being... We could maybe use Lightning Conduit. Especially if we do... We could make the curse conductivity, I think, work on for our fire spell hit, which sounds weird maybe, but effectively the way it works is, do I have a conductivity? And grab a conductivity. Maybe level 9. Conductivity, sure. There we go. Okay, so we have conductivity, and then we do burning. Generate, Infernal Legion, Gas Grenade. Okay, I guess I don't have a burning inscription. conductivity. Conductivity. Oh, burning inscription is tier 3. Okay. Conductivity, burning inscription, go. So, the reason we do that is conductivity gains the lightning or the fire tag. I'm almost positive when you do this. So because burning inscription has the fire tag, it adds the fire tag to conductivity. Now the real question is, could I do this, right? So will the fire on hit allow me to do that? Who knows? But we might be able to do some weird stuff though. Well, I think it's gonna have to be tested. So possibly we can do something like that. Let's see. Here. The real question is, what do I want to do? Like, do I want to do ignite at all? I mean, I guess there's no reason to not do ignite, even if I'm going for a hit build, because ignites and hits are almost the same anyway. Let's see. We have to do so much testing when we get in. Is there any, so commit. Okay, that's totem stuff. I don't care about totems. There are no other limit modifiers. So let's go check. Limit. The firestorm is what I'm thinking of with this. This is hopefully a good way to do whatever, but the problem is stuff like this. So less skill effect duration, who cares? I have +1 limit. Doesn't matter. Crimson Amulet, +1 limit. Max life, regen per second. So maybe you have 3 firestorms going. Could be good enough. If we do 3 firestorms, and this is assuming that on hit applies to spells, which is a pretty wild assumption. But if we do firestorm there, and then we have lightning here, we can figure something out. Let's just think about that for a second. Firestorm being our ignite thing. So what can we do with shock? I would love to be able to like do both. So Herald of Thunder. With attack damage, yeah, no, not really. Tax gain, lightning conduit. Lightning conduit is what I'm thinking of, because I think lightning conduit's going to be really good. I just don't know how to apply the shocks that I need. Do it. That's an attack. Shock siphon. We don't want that. Storm fire. Shocks from supported skills do not expire on ignited enemies. Voltaic mark. Drop shocked ground. Three dragons is how. Fire damage from hits contributes to shock chance instead of ignite chance. Yeah, I think we go 3 dragons. Our fire damage can shock. And then we go secret Mjolnir. Maybe? Okay, so the next question is, we have now a mace, right? What do we use with the mace? Maybe shield charge? Maybe Molten Blast. Seismic Cry is possible. Stampede. Charge forward, cracking the earth, leaving patches of jagged ground with every footstep at the end of the charge. Massive leap, dealing slam damage, causes patches of jagged ground to explode. So maybe? Yeah. I think we've got an idea at least, that I actually want to pursue and want to see if we can make work. I just don't know how good it's gonna be. Be interesting to say the least. Forcing current. Can lightning conduit shock? It might be able to. Yeah, this I think is the play, is Firestorm Lightning Conduit, and see if we can make this work. Maybe Mana Tempest. Although the alternative is... So we could go 3 dragons, or we could do the elemental gloves, which would give me ignite, shock, and freeze, and chill and freeze with the painter's gloves. Could be worth it. The problem then is, how do we scale the damage? Because we're then scaling, like we're specifically cutting into our fire damage, and generic elemental damage is actually pretty hard to come by. Elemental. I suppose we could do this over here. We could just go up here and grab elemental generic damage to shocked. Shocked, chilled, and ignited. And then do like... And we'd have to go so far to get over here. All natural, storm chased, breaking point. Yeah, there's still just not a whole lot of hits against it. Yeah, we could get a fair amount of damage out of it. And then these so far. So if we go this route, right? We need to go all the way over here. Don't care about these. Go across here. Maybe here and here, we'll see. Here. There. Probably go up here for Touch of the Arcane. If I'm sticking with mana, we'll see. Go down here. Definitely go down here for this. Possibly go over here for Brutal Strength. That's nothing but damage, and it's really just not that impressive. Whereas I could do so much else. Unwavering stance. Probably not unwavering stance. Dodge rolling is too good. Malady, maybe. If we want to get the new unique helmet. Don't count on it, but that's right there. So if we want to do that, we could do that. Grab that. I feel like fire is just going to be better. Just going fire damage is going to be better. Because it means I can just do stuff like this, like damaging hits with against burning enemies, done. Damaging ailments on enemies, penetrates fire res, done. Done. I don't need magnitude of ignite, because I'm not going to be igniting things. We go over here, grab elemental damage, and then grab Sigil of Lightning, because we're going to be shocking things with 3 dragons. Three dragons, skills, new Firestorm. And it'll never have an improved bolt. I don't know how to calculate damage on Firestorm properly. But that gives me a pretty significant amount of damage. We can do things like, is the enemy ignited? Ooh, maybe not. Maybe not. Because the problem is we got 3 dragons. Lightning damage is freeze build up. Cold damage is ignite, so we won't have an ignited enemy. Means all of this stuff that I took for ignite. Let's see. Ignite. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. But this duration of damage hits against ignited enemy, or yeah, fulmination wouldn't matter. We would want this though. We wouldn't. Not with Avatar Fire. I forgot Avatar Fire. Or wait, no, Avatar Fire. I don't care. No, I do care. I do care. Dang it. Okay, so is there any other way for me to do shock? Oh, lightning shackle. Destruction works, but I don't love it. Voltaic Mark doesn't really do much. Stormfire just has shocks don't expire. Skeletal Storm Mage could do it. Lightning Warp could do it. Yeah, I mean, there is a chance that we have the ability to support fire stuff to make it shock. Yeah, so shocked ground. Is it usually at 10%? I don't remember how much it is, but shocked ground is the only other way I can think of doing it. And that's all just to feed into conduit. I don't necessarily need to do. Okay, so effectively this boils down to maybe I use Firestorm and just let it be. The only other option I have is we don't do Avatar Fire, and I go for a true hybrid Fire Lightning build. So boom there. Hits on burning enemies, damaging ailments. Overall doesn't matter. We deal shock and fire. Not that. Here and here and here. We do that. And then we do what else? This is extra fire, doesn't help me. What mace stuff do we have? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because those are all going to modify attacks, and I'm not planning on using attacks more than to trigger stuff. We'll see how much of that is really possible. Hey, thanks.
Just redeemed hydrate.
Appreciate it, Pugs. Waters. Well, okay, it's green tea right now, but pretty close. What do we do? Duration, is the enemy burning? Yes. And then we take off 3 dragons. 86 per hit on Firestorm. Is pretty good. DPS on Firestorm is... I feel like it's just not accurate. There's no way that's accurate. But to be fair, it's probably really hard to calculate. Critical damage bonus against burning enemies. So maybe that's how we do it. Maybe we go through here. Drop that. Go through here. And then go into crit. Okay, so what do we have for crit? Alright. The flail has some crit stuff. Ooh. It's a nice little chunk of crit stuff right here. Reduced maximum mana, strength, critical hit chance. That's a lot of crit chance though. That's so much reduced mana though. Increased mana cost of skills, increased mana cost of skills, increased mana cost of skills. It's so much crit, but it's so much mana. I don't know about all that. Or attack damage with melee one-handed. 4 attacks. We had low life stuff because I don't think we do, right? We don't have like real low life. Like we don't have petrified blood or anything. Oh, Rise of the Phoenix is going to be so incredible in this build. Maybe. Then the Deepest Tower is for this, if we do that, because that's a crazy amount of damage. But I wanted to see... Okay. So no, not really. Blacked Out didn't say it was changed. Blacked Out didn't say it was changed. That might be a little crazy. Okay. I don't know how to maintain low life at the moment without being like this, basically. Without using either Coward's Legacy or Serpent's Lesson. And even with Coward's Legacy, I don't know how I would manage it. So, I don't know how to maintain low life currently. That I don't think is feasible. Don't care about Magnitude of Ignite. Care about crit. What's this crit? Affected by no elemental? No, that's not gonna be me. Good chance up against full? No. Reduce critical damage bonus. Reduce critical damage bonus. Okay, so this gives me critical damage bonus, but does not crit chance. Oh, you know what? Sandstorm Visage just got a huge buff. Enemies in your presence gain critical weakness every second. I think this just got changed to critical weakness every second for 15 seconds. So let me double check. Let's see. In Storm, once per second for 15 seconds. Yeah, so this Sandstorm Visage is now really, really good because critical weakness now track individually rather than refreshing duration when all are gained. That's a little, it's weaker. And then Malice now applies it every 0.52 seconds. And I don't remember what the, I have, I'm trying to see if I have a Malice. Duration is 4 seconds. So critical weakness from Malice is 4 seconds, which means critical weakness from the normal Scepter is going to be something around the lines of like 7 stacks max, and you will never go beyond that. Whereas Sandstorm Visage will get to 15 stacks. Assuming you can even get that high. I don't know if you can. Up to 20. So you can get up to 20 stacks. So if you get a little bit of duration, you can probably get to 20. That is base 0.5 critical hit chance. So with 20 stacks, that is 10%. Probably worth it. Worth thinking about. Okay, maybe we do that. Maybe we do critical things. What else? What else? I feel like crit also fixes some issues we have. We have issues right here. So hilariously, I think I'm gonna need beef. We're gonna need brute strength. Use max mana is so rough. They all have reduced max mana. I mean, I don't know about brute strength. Never mind. Beef though, beef I can swing. You know what? Maybe we do this instead. Maybe we do. Physical is extra fire, chance to ignite, burning. It looks like duration is actually pretty nice. So yeah, I think we're gonna go this way, and then we're gonna do like unallocate that and basically all of that, which gives us enough strength, I think. Strength that we need is 200 something, right? 248. We're pretty close to the strength requirement we need. No equipment. And then we just need intelligence. Could do Stormbreaker as well. But that again goes back to how we want to build. It might be better to go Stormbreaker. It's just weird. Honestly, it still kind of makes sense to do it though. It means I don't go over here at all. And then I go this way. Yeah, I don't know. Do I even bother going this way? Do I just go down this way and then go down to pick up Unnatural Resilience? I think this is probably what I'm gonna do though, is I'm probably gonna go with Myth of Katava over Lich. It's hard to say though, like I still kind of want to do Lich because I'm pretty sure they're releasing Death's Oath, and I'm really hopeful that Death's Oath is something that we can make good, but who knows, you know? I don't know. I think maybe we just go Smith of Katava and hope we can make it fun. And then if not, no big deal. We'll figure it out. Honestly, we're not that far away from most of the things we would want going tri-elemental anyway, so maybe we do just go Painter's Gloves and then do like skill effect duration, potency of the best. No, I don't want that. Increased skill effect duration. Skills. Where did life cost? Oh, hey now, hold on. I do something. Reduced mana cost of attacks? No. Yeah, we could get some life regen stuff. We try and like counter spell damage, magnitude of non-damaging ailments inflicted with crits. Yeah, okay. I think we go Smith. I think we go Smith and just try it. But I think that's gonna do it for tonight. I think that is the plan then. We're gonna go Smith, and we'll probably go Lich second, maybe. And we'll just see what happens. And I think maybe we go Spear on Smith of Katava, honestly. Maybe. Because if we go Spear all the way, well, we may level with Spear and just grab some Dexterity. Because what that buys us is maybe a better leveling experience, but we're gonna eventually drop it for Mace anyway, so who knows. But yeah, I think it's gonna do it for tonight. So thank you everybody for joining me. I had a blast. It's been a lot of fun. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll have time to set up a quick like overrun video of my thoughts on the patch notes and my plans on the league start. When's it drop? It drops Friday. The league start drops Friday, and then it depends on your time zone as to when. For me, it's like 3 o'clock or something in the afternoon. But one day, 14 hours, 46 minutes is when it'll drop. I will be live during that time, so if you want to come join and see how the build goes or how it starts, then feel free to drop by. Thanks again, everybody, for joining, and I will see you guys when Dawn of the Hunt launches. Thanks, everybody. See you, plugs. You.